G'day Battlers and welcome to the G'day Battlers podcast, episode 48. I am PvP Steven, joined by Deborald Pebberald, and look, I was going to say that we have a lot to catch up on. It's sort of like both untrue and true at the same time, because there's two big tournaments. I mean, there was Bologna, which I'm going to be honest, guys, we are going to hard pass on Bologna because, quite frankly, we could not care less. European tournament, Bologna, why are we going to talk about Bologna? It's just been NAIC. Other than that, we because we've delayed the recording of this podcast episode, we also have a lot of updates to talk about with the Play Pokemon Championship Series for 2026. And I also didn't even mention PJCS. So this is going to be a pretty action-packed episode. Lots to talk about. Hi, Debbie.
Hi. So what you're telling me is that you're a liar, which, it is not... I guess it's not unknown at this point, since you said that.
No.
That it would be, it's going to be like a big episode, or like it's a lot to talk about, but then it's not a lot to talk about. So really, you can't be on the fence with this. It means
let me put it this way.
At some point.
I think that if you look at the list of topics that we have to talk about, it's quite slim. If you look at the length of this episode, which you are looking at right now, I think that you're going to think like, oh no, they had a lot to talk about. So,
well, I imagine the episode title would be along the lines of what we've had thus far of, like, Steve went to Johannesburg, Steve went to Durban. It'd be along the lines of Steve went to New Orleans.
Yeah, that's probably, or Steve went to NAIC maybe.
Yeah.
It's almost definitely along those lines. So
I thought this is a travel podcast now, so maybe we just need location, not NAIC.
Yeah, that's true. Well, we're pivoting. So what wacky location will we go to next? Let's find out. But we're going to do things
anyway.
Auckland again, apparently. Wink, wink. But we've got a bit to talk about, and we're going to do it a little bit out of order. Usually we would just start from the oldest and go to the newest. Instead, we're going to talk about like the brand newest, as in it came out like this morning as we're recording this.
Yeah,
all the brand new updates.
Came out like midnight my time, so I had no clue because I was definitely asleep. And when I woke up to just random pings of being like, it's like, have you guys got to the podcast yet?
Hi, Tristan.
Hi, Tristan. I was just like, what's this pressure? Like, blurry-eyed in the morning. I'm like, what's the pressure of the podcast coming out? What's going on, guys? And I was like, oh, there's a lot to talk about. But exciting news. Play Pokemon put an announcement out this morning, has a video kind of forecasting a bit of the 2026 season that's coming up.
Yeah, so look, there was a lot of announcements that we were sort of hoping, and this is, I guess, spoiler territory for NAIC. We were hoping it would come out in the closing ceremony of NAIC. None of that. Nothing of any real use ended up getting put.
Oh, what we got told about at the closing ceremony? We got told about bottle caps.
Well, no, that was at the end of Go. It wasn't in the closing ceremony.
True.
Completely separate.
Yeah.
But anyway, what we got was a few key details. The first thing that was in the video that they posted, which I guess was the main thing they were putting out there, was the date of the international championships. So unfortunately, everyone that might have been, praying and, keeping their fingers crossed, there is no OCIC 2026. It is not coming back this time.
I feel like we need sad piano music and just replay the episode where we have the title of OCIC is dead. All right, that was probably a brief pause there because it was just a knock on the door. But yeah, there is no OCIC for the 2026 season. So, unfortunately, no Sydney, Melbourne, OCIC, Darwin, wherever. I don't know, like all the hypotheses / theories out there. There is actually nothing announced for Australia, Steve.
Yeah, no Australian regionals, but I mean, look, let's be very clear here. This was the expected path. We were not expecting to get Australian regionals. We never get details of the Australian regionals off rip. We just have to wait a little longer. I don't really know why we have to wait a little longer, because they actually said in the ESL Discord that they have the dates locked in. But I think they locked them in too late to be sort of announced in this batch of announcements. But it seems a little bit baffling to me that they have to wait for announcement windows. Like they have to wait for the bus to get onto the next one. I don't really get that.
Yeah, no, and even that notification is, like, in my opinion, early. for even ESL to say they've locked in the next lot of regionals. Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. I don't know when's the next announcement. So, look, I think I saw someone saying, "Oh, okay, we'll wait until May." This recording's in June, so
Yeah.
but we will see. And I think also in the Discord, it kind of was mentioned that all of them will be announced. Hopefully, all at the same time. Unlike what we had this year, where we had 2 regionals announced and then the possibility of the third looming somewhere, which was very much hedged our bets of Melbourne in May.
Yeah. The long wait to be told what we already knew, that Melbourne was coming in May. Just to, I guess, read out the Discord poster. Hey, we're just going to jump in with and say, blah, blah, blah. Something that we're about to talk about isn't happening, blah, 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 blah. OC Regional Championships locations and dates are locked in, but were only finalized a few weeks ago, so will be announced in the second wave of events. Hopefully that doesn't mean like the second wave of North American events, because that usually doesn't happen for like quite a few months.
Might be Worlds. Who knows?
I mean, I guess that's possible. I don't know. We'll see. But it's not all doom and gloom on that front, because we did get a little bit of a surprise announcement out of the Oceanic region. But wait, Debbie, didn't you say that there's no regionals in Australia?
No regionals in Australia, but no regionals, or in this case, special events in Oceania, Steve.
Yeah, well, look, apparently, like, they were formerly called special championships now, except all of the websites literally call them special events, so I don't really know what the deal is with that one. But anyway, the special championship has been announced in Auckland, the first event in New Zealand announced ever since 2019, which was before Pokemon Go was in the circuit, so it's the first Go event, I guess, premier event in New Zealand. And I guess the excuse that I was waiting for quite a long time to actually get over to New Zealand.
Oh, look, it's congratulations to New Zealand. I think it's a long time coming for them to get something and to get a special event, special championship, and getting it announced so quickly is pretty awesome. So, yeah, that is allocated for the 24th, 25th of January of 2026, which happens to coincide with the Australian long weekend of Australia Day, which is the irony. How are you spending Australia Day? I'm in New Zealand.
Yeah, it's nice in that, like, because all of us Australians that are flying over, as someone that was recently in New Zealand, the flights, like, it made financial sense to actually stay the Sunday to fly back on Monday instead of the Sunday, just because the Monday flights were cheaper. But I mean, it might be a double-edged sword in that maybe the flights are actually going to be more expensive because there is going to be that public holiday looming for the Australians. So I don't know. We might have to sort of, take our little look-sees sooner rather than later, and where the flights do land up. But it is really nice that New Zealand actually gets some ability to get some real championship points outside of local events. I know there's a lot of New Zealand battlers that have just never had the opportunity to compete in a regional, because I think that, foreign perceptions might be that New Zealand is a bit closer to Australia than it actually is, but it is still, it's an international flight. And to, get over to some of these regionals, especially when I think like the shortest flight for them would be to Sydney, where we famously have not had a regional for quite some seasons now. So it's like, it's a little bit tough for the New Zealanders to actually get in. Notably as well, we'd have no New Zealanders that have qualified for Worlds in this season. And I think by having a special championship in their actual country where they can just fly domestically and get a few more participants in, we might actually get that representation in there this time.
Yeah, fly, drive, like just get it to Auckland. That's pretty cool. And looking forward to them actually being able to roll with it. I believe it's in a card shop. So, this is similar vibes to what you've had in the last couple of South African events.
I don't know if we want to go that far. I don't know. I have a feeling we might have a few extra players compared to South Africa.
I see. We're not going to stalk the, the players list until the last second day.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think we really talked about it much on the Durban episode, to be honest with you. But the Durban card shop actually had like a separate room sort of attached to it, or like a separate building that was attached that like the Go players and the VGC players were actually in. Like the card shop was the TCG players only.
Right.
And then we were sort of in this separate sort of, pretty decent location, to be honest with you. I mean, a
Mm-hmm.
lot more space than Johannesburg, I'll tell you that much. There's sort of been rumors that it is a little bit small. Apparently someone did some digging and they got that there was the player cap, or not the player cap, the sort of capacity of the venue is like around 124 people.
Okay, right.
So, that's not tiny.
No.
But it does sort of raise a few like questions about how the event's going to be run. My guess, because we don't have a lot of details currently, is that Pokemon Go is probably going to be a one-day event on the Sunday after they've already run through TCG day one and sort of dramatically reduced the player numbers. Obviously, we just have to wait and see. And technically, I know there's a few doomers going around talking about how like, oh, there might not even be Go. But I would be shocked if they didn't have Go, especially if they're not like announcing that at this point.
Yeah, the fact that it was on the video and coming from Play Pokemon and it's a special event, I just don't foresee that Go would not be included. However, until it's, properly announced, maybe there's a small sliver of like possibility that it might not have Go. However, I think, I'd lean to what you're saying here. I think that day one will be heavy TCG, and then second day would most likely will be Go will be involved in that setting, so that it'll be for them day two. So probably half would get eliminated, right? So
more than. It's a pretty steep drop day one to day two for the old TCG, but it's also how they ran the when I went to the Buenos Aires Special Championship. That's actually how they ran it. TCG was day one, and then Go VG were day two. And I mean, to be honest, it's also the same build as the South African events, but they weren't as dire straits, I don't think. Where they, again, day one, massive TCG, dramatic player reduction into day two, so they then have room for the VG and the Go players. So we'll just have to wait and see when the announcements do come out, but exciting nonetheless. And Debbie, are you looking to go?
Look, I won't lie. This morning when it was announced and I was at work, I was looking at flights, which I should be working, but I was like, you know what, I'm too distracted and this is what I want to check out. And yeah, I mean, like at this point in time, it's like quite reasonable, I imagine, to head over. It is a long way from Perth. That a direct flight was about, I think, 6 hours and 20 minutes on the way there, and like 7+ on the way back because of wind speed. So yeah, it is a bit on the plane, but otherwise I would have to go through like Sydney or Melbourne and then like fly into Auckland that way. So it ends up being about 10 hours. Or like as the shortest time if I were to transit through one of the major cities over east. So we'll have a look, but it is highly tempting given it's a long weekend. It's a good time to put in your leave, put in your excuses, and be like, oh guys, I just need to take some time off around Australia Day. So yeah, it's totally possible. Someone wrote in the Discord, I forgot who, but that said that like Hobbiton is a 2-hour drive away, and I've never been. So I was like, oh, like okay, I suppose Lord of the Rings and everything, like New Zealand. I guess.
Yeah, I think it would
Hope
be
you're ready for a car drive.
Me ready? I haven't said if I'm going.
Oh, fair enough. I just expect you just to be in my luggage.
Oh, I see. Yeah, look, and to be honest with you, like chances are I do end up going, but I'm not making any commitments yet. We'll wait and see. I mean, certainly where the other Australian dates are and such. One of the other questions that I've been getting quite a bit is to do with a broadcast. Will we get a stream for Auckland?
Yeah.
And my answer is sort of like we probably won't, and it's not for lack of want. So I've sort of said, and I've reached out to TPCI as well, and I've sort of like I would be very happy to run a broadcast, but I have my doubts around the internet availability to make it happen. So if it's possible, then that'd be awesome, and I'm very happy to sort of put that together. But I kind of have my doubts. So chances are that if I'm there, I'm probably going to be competing, which is a little more competition than I was expecting for the 2026 season. But hey, if it's so close, you may as well, right?
Yeah. Bring out your cats. We're gonna go to New Zealand. But could it be a possibility? Like, I suppose you need to have a chat with the organisers. And at this stage, we don't know the organizer
No, we
for this
don't.
special event. But I wonder if it's worth asking to, if we don't get a broadcast, to just record the battles there. Whether instead of,
It's a special championship. It's almost guaranteed we'll be playing on our own phones. So
time to upgrade the phones, guys.
yeah. So I mean, like, there is the downside of some people's phone. Like, there's an imbalance in people's phones, for in some sense. But the massive upside of special championships, and this has been the massive advantage of the two South African tournaments, is that we do have all of the footage because it's just on our phones. So it is nice in that regard. So worst case, there'll be a recap video. But best case, maybe we get a stream. But I wouldn't keep your hopes too high for this one.
Yeah. And look, if there's no stream, like you mentioned, like it does give you a chance to compete. Given that if it was like the regionals in Australia, the likelihood of you competing is lower than usual. So, but who's to say? Steve might do a whole run next season and just be like, nah, no streams, guys. I'm just going to compete. I'm going to go for Worlds for next year. I'm on my World run. I've got travel award. I've got this. I've got that. I need points.
I can't stress enough how much my current attitude is I'll be streaming anything I can. I'm not playing. Like, at least for Melbourne, I thought about it. I thought about playing, but still decided against. There's no thought in my head of like, I don't think Worlds qualified once is fine for me. But of course, this is just only one of the announcements that did come out today. And some of the other ones might seem a little bit more low key, but I think we are going to sort of see them take effect as the season rolls on. There are a lot of details that are sort of irrelevant to us, I suppose, that if you play the other games, maybe they matter. They're changing how like the end of time rules work for TCG. They're sort of restating that challenges and cups will start in July. VG doesn't start for another month for whatever reason. Maybe it's Switch 2 moving. I don't know. They're changing how Swiss rounds work for VG and TCG, which maybe if you want to give them a read now, just to sort of keep yourself updated so that if/when Swiss eventually comes to Pokemon Go, you have a good understanding of how it works. That's up to you, but we won't go over it today. One of the actual things is that the championship points being awarded at events is being adjusted for both regionals and ICs. So at regionals and special championships, like in Auckland, top 16 is going up from 160 points to 200. Top 32 is going from 125 to 160, and top 64 is going from 100 to 120. So as you might have noticed, if you looked at the sort of points that you gained at regionals and stuff this season, it's a big drop off after you leave top 8. And so I think they're sort of elevating it a little bit from here to make things a little bit more, not really just bunting over the 9th places of the world.
I think when we were doing some spreadsheet calculations and when I was entering in the championship points, I was like, gosh, this is harsh. You lose if you just don't get that cusp of that tier, and then it was, I think some of like 80 points of a drop or something like that. And I was just like, gee, that's harsh. But
I think it was, you got 280 for 5th to 8th and then only 200 for the top 16 or 9th place. So it's a lot of points.
It is a lot of points. So this looks a little bit more just than the current system. So I think that's a win. I think they've taken some feedback and added that in. I wonder that this will be actually something for me to do later, if we actually use next year's system and put it in for this year's system and see how that would have panned out.
That'd be interesting.
That might be some heartbreak for some people.
It's like, look, I mean, I've had that heartbreak in the past. Let's put it that way. I know the 2023 season, when we first moved into the 2024 season, like, I was like, if we had that season, I would have qualified for Worlds with the championship points. Blah, 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 blah. There's lots of room for that sort of like, if only. But they did also change the international championship points similarly. So now top 32 goes up from 200 to 240, 64 goes from 150 to 180, and top 128 goes from 120 up to 140. which I think in some sense is kind of like to make sure that it stays a little bit ahead of the regional points in sort of a sense. So like, for example, so in the current season that we just played in, top 128 would get 120 points and top 64 at a regional would get 100. With the regional points going up to 120, you don't want them to match. You want the IC to matter a little bit more. So they've bumped that up just a tiny little bit by 20 points, just so that it sort of stays that little bit of ahead. So I assume that's sort of the thinking. But yeah, I think they've probably changed the kickers sort of above that, but it's sort of irrelevant for Go for the most part, I would imagine. Unless we get some pretty big
for
player
the
jumps.
cups and do the kickers also apply to so the kickers now for placement, you need 0 competitors for first placement.
That was already the case.
Oh, that was already the case. So you need a minimum of 4 to get top 2. Yeah, okay, all right. So that hasn't changed.
No. So I think you still need 4 players for like a thing to fire.
Yes.
But it's just I think I'm pretty sure. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure you still need 4 players for the event to actually fire. It's just basically to do with juniors and seniors is the reason why. I think Tristan was actually telling me about this, where like, if there's a cup in TCG and there's 50 people, but there's only 2 seniors, like the first place will still get points because, there were an event fired. Basically, it's just a little bit irrelevant for Go, but it is what it is. The one thing that it did change on the Cup and Challenge kicker, and it feels like a small change, but it might matter, especially in Oceania, especially in Sydney. We've had a few tournaments hang around this mark. The kicker for top 8 to get points, you used to need 17 people, I think, and you now only need 14 people. That's the only change.
Is that only for challenges?
Oh, that is only for challenges. You're right. It still says 17 for cups.
So cups
it's a very niche
still
change.
Require 17 minimum to get the top 8 to get points.
Yeah. I don't really know what the logic is, to be honest with you. Like maybe it's just they did I'm sure like there is a reason for this. They wouldn't have done this for no reason, but maybe it was to make some maths work out so that more players hit like ace trainer rank, or maybe they're just trying to get a few more people with points, so they sort of look at the leaderboard a little bit more. I'm not sure, but I'm sure there's a reason.
But even for ace trainer, you need 200 championship points throughout the year.
And but there might be some maths that makes it work.
Best of 5, best of 4 for like best finish.
Yeah. Best of what we know.
So if you're on a league challenge and you get 4 points and you get like best of 4, I'm like 16 points for your ace trainer.
Oh, 8 points per for the top 8.
Yeah, top 8 for I was looking at right at the bottom for the kicker.
Oh yeah, that's for a 48 player kicker. We're not it's a little
48 player challenge. Let's go.
Yeah, we're lucky to get that at a regional. It's not happening, but it might be like, you get 180 at a regional or something, and then I don't know. I'm trying to justify a change that I don't really understand, but
I see it this way. There's more challenges than cups, so I think it's just trying to encourage more people to attend challenges once they, even if it is a little bit of points there. And that might just keep encouraging people, whether they're doing they might have capped out for the Worlds one, but they might have not capped out for Travel Award, so it's just kind of like it still rewards you for participating. That's kind of how I see it.
Maybe. And speaking of Travel Award, there's also a little bit of an increase in the amount of money that is going to be going out in the Travel Award circuit, because not only will Pokemon Go have Travel Awards for ICs, where the top 4 players get that Travel Award, but now 5th place to 8th place will also receive a travel stipend, which the math sort of works out that like the top 4 get like a 3,500, and the stipend is going to be worth 1,000. So like it definitely doesn't cover your travel, but it does, give a little bit of an incentive to, maybe, I was thinking about going to this IC. I think this clinches the deal. I'm going to go.
Yeah. So just remind me. So the current system, so not this new system, but the current system is top 4 get travel award, or is it top 2 get travel award and then 3rd and 4th get stipend?
I believe that it's top 4 all get travel award.
Oh, okay. So all 4 get the same amount, like
for ICs. Yeah,
for ICs.
Worlds is a different story.
Yes. Only Travel Award ICs is what I'm talking about here. So it is just the 3,500 USD, first place, second, third, fourth, and then that's cut off. Whereas this
Pretty
new
sure,
system, 5th to 8th would get an extra 1,000 if they go, obviously, with to kind of maybe cover your one way to Brazil.
It definitely doesn't cover your one way. That's going to be like over double that. It's, oh, actually, no. Yeah, I mean, it still won't cover one way, but it's getting close to one of your flights. Unfortunately, Brazil is one of the more expensive ones where the stipend might not make as big of an impact as it might for the other ones, but you know, it is what it is. It's just
and tell me again who's sitting at the top of the hypothetical travel award period for the IC2 Brazil.
I don't. Okay, so Debbie, I literally only realized this today when I was really looking at the travel awards and stipends based on this announcement. But if I did not go, I don't know if you know this or not. No. If I did not go on my little detour to Auckland for local points, I would not be getting the travel award for LAIC. That New Zealand trip for locals was literally the difference maker for me getting the travel award.
I never verbalized it, but I knew as the spreadsheet typer and tapper-innerer and adding all the points. I'm like, you need to do this to do this. And also in the background having the other spreadsheet of me like, okay, travel award, how do we get this?
Yeah. So
to late evenings of just being like, if you ever see me on Discord still awake at like 11 o'clock, I'm probably working on a spreadsheet of some sort.
Yeah, that is the Debbie way. Which, I mean, look, I've got spreadsheets of my own, but Debbie runs that stuff. I don't want to double dip. But it was like, oh, hey, that little bit of travel paid for itself a few times over. I thought it was, at the time, I thought it was like, oh, it turns out I didn't actually need that because I would have qualified for Worlds anyway. But
true.
Guess it came in
if you were just aiming that was your end post, absolutely.
Which was my only end post. There was no hope of a travel award, to be honest with you. But hey, here we are, number 1, baby. we're still waiting on like the official leaderboard to update, like so that we can actually see it on the page. They haven't posted that yet, even though they've now announced the IC Travel Awards. But we'll see, I suppose. The only other change I think that has been made so far that they've announced is that there is going to be a slightly increased number of competitors from Europe and from Latin America that qualify for the World Championships. So this season, it was 75 for the US, Canada, 50 Europe, 50 LATAM, 10 Oceania, 5 Middle East, South Africa. And this next season, everyone is the same except for Europe and Latin America that jump from 50 up to 65, which is a pretty solid jump. I saw, I think, a post from JGen that said that, like, if, you know, obviously people would play slightly differently if they knew where the kicker line was, but the point total for like 50th versus 65th jumps from like the 600s down to the 400s. Like, it's a pretty steep drop off for now qualifying for Worlds. So we'll see how it plays out in the new season. But I mean, congrats to the extra 30 from not us. They get to go.
Yeah, congrats, guys. I don't sound bitter at all. Even if they threw just 2 this way, I'd be like, all right, we got 2.
Yep. Nah. But there was a post from JGen as well. He posted a lot of statistics about the sort of, I guess, the current season and reflecting and even looking forward to the next. And he did sort of point out that this season, like after factoring in all of the Asian circuit and PJCS, we're going to have the literal exact same number of qualified competitors for Worlds as we did last season. Literally identical. With, like, we're factoring in all of the auto invites that have been burned by people winning multiple tournaments, the extra invites that have been put, that were given to North America, the invites taken away from some other regions like Oceania. It's all come out in the wash, and we have identical placements. So what was the point? The math actually worked out so that it's Middle East South Africa has gained 6 spots at Worlds. The TPC players plus there were +2 from TPC from Yakai and Beelzeboy getting the Worlds auto qualifications.
Auto qual, yes.
and then the rest of the TPCI regions collectively lost 8 spots compared to last season. I mean, we lost a lot. I think we lost like 14 to auto qualifications that got burned. But
well, we lost kind one in our region, so.
Well, I mean, we lost. I mean, like our region didn't get a qualification. It didn't get burned though. To be honest, though, Pokemon Maker, after winning Melbourne, he did burn one of the PJCS invites. So he actually did do that.
I'm surprised that didn't cascade down. I know we'll talk about later, but I was really surprised that didn't cascade.
Well, to be honest, we don't actually know for sure. I'm not shocked personally. Like my guess, essentially, is that it won't cascade down because Japan is running on a very different system.
Yeah.
Like if it was all integrated, then maybe it would pass down. But the fact that Japan is very separated from the rest of us makes me assume that, like, you know, these are the top 16 players and they're given their little qualified badge that they got given.
Yeah. No, I think it's a good thing as well. Like, as much as I would like, oh yeah, more players, more available. Like, if you qualified, you qualified. So if you are unfortunate and, you know, just missed it out, then yeah, it's unfortunate, but you got to draw the line somewhere.
Yeah, I suppose. But yeah, anyway, it is what it is. Those are the current changes. Have I missed anything, Debbie?
I don't believe so. But yeah, really interesting with J-Jan's update. So that's all available on his Twitter if people want to go back and have a look at his insights. And that's all the information that's been out right now. So we'll see if there's more updates coming soon, but you will probably won't get an update for a while. I think that's the last update for a little bit. They're very sparse in between of updates.
Yeah. That's probably true. There are, like, again, the ICs have been announced. It's the same cities as they were this last season. There's a bunch of regionals announced. So if you are from not Oceania, feel free to jump on the Pokemon website to check what is going on in your region. I know there's actually a few Aussies that are going to be, lurking around the other regions by coincidence, and they might pop into a few regionals. Cola, I know he's going to be in Germany when they do have the Frankfurt tournament.
Yes, the first one for the season, I believe.
Yeah,
Frankfurt.
That's pretty cool.
The first time Frankfurt's had one.
Oh, is that ever or just for Pokemon Go?
I think, I'm not going to say ever, but I believe Lou the Pikachu was like, oh my gosh, in my hometown. So I read that as a...
it's been a while at the very least.
Yeah, if it's not the first time, it's been a while. Okay. But I haven't seen Frankfurt for Go. I don't think they've had it there. They've had it in other German cities, but not for Frankfurt.
I'm just like scrolling through the rest of the page. The only other thing, other than Ace Trainer Rewards, exact same thing with 200 championship points. The other important thing that we're going to have to really struggle with, Debbie, is that the Pokemon Unite Championship Series is getting a big nerf in OCE. And all of the other regions get full circuits. OCE literally has nothing. We've just been destroyed. The auto qualification for Oceania seems to have been deleted. There is just literally 0 tournaments announced to ever be happening in Oceania for the next year. So
how does anyone from Oceania qualify?
Travel to an IC.
Oh, fair enough. Okay, right. And like, if you travel to an IC, like, that's the only way to qualify? Like, if you get like
maybe
top place,
you have to win, I guess. But yeah, look, maybe there's announcements to come. Like, maybe we'll have a different system. But the monthly tournaments that Debbie and the Pebbles competed in, gone. So we'll see. Anyway, that's a mini update. Obviously, this is a Pokemon Go podcast, but I feel like that was...
Debbie and the Pebbles team, if you're watching or listening right now, it means that get your tickets ready. We're going to Brazil.
Guys, I've already got the travel award. They didn't say which game I had to play when I went. I've got the accommodation sorted. We've got the floor.
And let's be honest, if you had a choice, you'd play Unite.
I mean, look, I guess it's the same level of going 0-2 and out, right? That's the dealio. But yeah. Anyway, just thought that was a fun little update as well, or a not so fun little update. But I think that finally brings us to the end. I mean, like, look at the timestamp, Debbie. Tell me that we didn't have a lot of things to talk about. But we do have a few tournaments to talk about as well. Now, look, I said it at the start. Bologna. Now, here's the thing about Bologna. It was the one and only tournament that Shadow Malamar was eligible. Shadow Malamar won it all.
Mm-hmm.
The truth is, I was prepping for NAIC. I'm going to be so honest with you, Debbie. I didn't watch a lick of that tournament because in my head I was like, this meta is irrelevant to me. I've got to prepare for NAIC in like 2 weeks. I'm not watching a bunch of Pokemon that have completely changed stats and the meta's going to completely change. So I didn't watch it. And unfortunately, it seemed like it was pretty awesome because Philbeg went on, the second ever fully 100% win rate run, never dropping a single battle on their way to the tournament, to a stacked bracket as well, which, I'm sure was pretty cool to watch, but I sure didn't.
I did watch snippets of it. Also, being in the European time zone, it's a bit hard to watch live, so I think I only watched it to a certain extent. But it's pretty cool to see that Philbeg did win it all. I believe he is a very strong player, well known for leaderboard placements on GBL, and he doesn't go to a lot of regionals, is what I've heard. And the fact that he just popped in, just cleaned up, all right, I qualified. I didn't need to do the whole like regional run or anything like that. Just like, yep, I got my auto qual. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, didn't play a single regional all season, didn't play any ICs. I think they've only ever competed in France and Italy at the regionals and special championships that get held around that region. And so, yeah, literally very final regional or special championship, I think, right? It was a special championship of the season. Comes in, wins it in like the most dominant fashion ever, and qualifies for Worlds. And now they are literally going to be going into Worlds undefeated in the championship series, which is insane. So
cleans it up in the last regional of the year.
Yeah. So it is pretty cool. So sorry to Philbeg for not watching your run, but blame the meta updates, I guess, because it is. I mean, Bologna is the reason why we ended up getting that weird like halfway meta. The previous change where like the seasons don't start for a few days into the meta, right? It was all Bologna's fault.
Yeah, Bologna is well known for that, so being the wacky regional, or the cleaner regional. Just to like if you're scrambling for points, you kind of have a look at Bologna and be like, oh, is that not such a bad option?
Yeah, locals are done, but you can still go to Bologna. I mean, look, I googled it, but it was never going to happen. That's a long trek for a regional, but yeah,
that's all right. We went to South Africa twice in a month.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Oh, do you?
I think it worked out okay. So
when you
again,
recognize the airport staff, or they recognize you.
Yeah, I don't know if I even mentioned on the podcast the fact that like the people in the airport lounges were like, weren't you here like last week? And I was like, oh, regular customer, hey.
I'm just a frequent flyer.
Anyway, won't see you again for a while. Bye. But yeah,
we'll see about that.
We'll see. But the other guys did really well as well. PvP David, Colin Six, Kezi, like a bunch of guys that you expect to do well. But look, it was weeks ago. It's a meta that no one even recognizes anymore. Yeah.
All right, I'm closing that tab. All right, NAIC. This is the one that you actually attended.
I did.
Let's go through because we haven't had the time to go through your journey and your flight, your experience, tell us from the beginning.
From the beginning. Well, they say that first there was nothingness until a big bang. And then 1, 2, skip a few. It's NIC prep time, and holy heck, this meta is tough. Because not because it's a very difficult meta, but because it was just changing so rapidly. And we haven't done an episode in the new season, post the Dene buff and Jellison and all the rest. We talked about it in the last episode when it was announced. We didn't see the ramifications of it. And I played in a lot of Inadequate's practice tournaments, and it felt like every single day the meta just dramatically shifted. Maybe not dramatically, but it kept shifting into what Pokemon were good. You could really see some big favorites coming in pretty strong. So Dusclops, it wasn't very big at the start, became pretty big. Primeape actually was a very quick and early favorite. I love, obviously I love Primeape. And it was doing so well for me in the early practice. Like I was defeating a lot of really strong people.
Mm-hmm.
And then Primeape caught on, and then everyone was using Primeape. And the problem with that is that then everyone was using Primeape counters. And to be honest with you, I think Primeape was not that hot after that, unfortunately.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it was just lots of that where a Pokemon that was really good very quickly became not that good. Jellicent was really big at the start. It dropped off quite heavily as the meta kept on moving on. People using Dusclops as a ghost type instead. Water types, they were going back to Lapras. They were trying out Golisopod as a water type instead. It was going all over the place. And so when you've got a storm, when you've got clouds all around you, where do you go for that source of light, that source of wisdom and knowledge of where to go? Obviously, you message Ashton Ash, and Ashton Ash just tells you what to run. It was the ultimate strategy that cannot fail. It carried me through 2 South African tournaments, and, we got there in the end.
Look, I think Ashton Ash is very much the side character to your main character story.
Side character? Whoa. I mean, the guy outperforms him in like every tournament.
Look, it's your podcast. It's your narrative.
I see.
When are you not the main character?
Yep, so the Robin to my Batman, Ashton Ash. He was.
I'm glad it's not the Catwoman.
But yeah, he was sort of feeding me the details. Eamero, a master team builder. I was getting a lot more insights this time into how they were sort of building the team. Like in the past, it was sort of like, oh no, this is just like Eamero built this thing. Like you see Ashton Ash's tweet, Eamero, thanks for the team.
Yeah,
Ashton Ash definitely had quite a lot of input on this one for sure. But yeah, it unfortunately the team, like, it seemed good. Like, this is solid. This is the team to run. And then 3 days would pass and the meta would change. It was like, I think we have to change the team. And so it kept changing and changing and changing. And even the day before NAIC, it changed once more. So look, I did as much practice as I could. I did as much prep work as I could. Ashton Ash was an absolute generous hero of a human being, where, like, we would even do, like, there was one inadequate practice tournament that I played that, we jumped on a voice call, I shared my battles, and he kept, giving me feedback. It's like, oh, probably, should have done this, should try this, yada, 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 yada. Which was very, like, above and beyond when the man had a tournament to practice for that very weekend. It was, much appreciated from the man, the myth, legend himself. And look, he ended up doing well, but not as well as hoped. We were sort of hoping that it might be his championship run, finally the time to claim a title, but alas, wasn't meant to be. But so the team ended up being, it's a very, I guess, difficult team to run in that it is very energy based, it's very fluid, it's very dynamic. And it was Dusclops, Golisopod, Mandibuzz, Shadow Sableye, Diggersby, and Credilli. You will note that Ashton Ash ran a regular Sableye, not a Shadow Sableye, not because he thought that the regular was better, but because he did not have a Shadow Sableye.
I understand that. I'm still making mine.
Yeah, it's a tough go. It's a tough go, but I guess got there in the end in some sense. But anyway, massive thank you to him because I appreciate him very, very much. But with as much prep as I could muster, including like me recording myself reading like 30 minutes of notes on like PvPoke simulations just to like listen to on the plane, just while I was trying to go to sleep, just listen to that on loop. I ended up heading into. I had to Sydney the night before, so I sleep on my mate's floor because he was literally moving house like the next day and all this furniture had been sent away. So I was sleeping on the floor in Sydney because it was preferable to getting up at 2 a.m. to get the train to Sydney instead. So, we'll take it, I guess. But, we fly over, listen to all of my notes as I can, get to LAX where I've got a 6-hour layover. And first of all, the American customs agent hated my guts for existing. I don't know. I think he just despises the fact that he has to see people at his work, which is sort of a problematic spot to be in when you see a lot of people at your work. But
sometimes the border security people are a little bit like that. Yeah, I get it. Yep.
Yeah, it was tough. Like, he would ask me like, oh, how long are you in the United States? And I was like, oh, I leave on Monday. And he was like, that wasn't the question. And I was like, oh, 5 days? And he was like, are you asking me or are you telling me? And I was like, oh, 5 days. And I was like, all right. And he just like grilled me. So it we got there in the end, I guess, after I told him about the Pokemon tournament that I was playing in, and he was like, it was like, what? So you're like a professional gamer? And I was like, wouldn't go that far.
I don't think they appreciate the Australian, humor.
Yeah, I don't think he. I mean, look, he hated me before I even put out a lick, but then I started going for it. I don't think I made him happier, to be honest with you. But anyway, I got through in the end. But the reason that LAX is important is because as I was sitting in LAX, I see a tweet pop up on my phone from Trainer Rem. And he's like, I got to LAX super early, and doing this and this. And I was like, hey, I'm at LAX super early. And so I replied to his tweet, like, where are you at? And he was like, oh, no, I'm at LAX, not in New Orleans. And I was like, I'm also in LAX. He apparently never saw that tweet because to this day, he just never acknowledged it ever.
Yeah.
And then like a few hours passed by and I'm like, oh, maybe he's busy. And I'm just sitting, I've plugged my phone into a little station. There's only one station in like the entire terminal that you can plug your phone in. And I'm like watching a YouTube video and then I finish the YouTube video, I go over to Twitter and I see this tweet from Trainer Rem. It's like, I'm 100% sure that PvP Steve is right in front of me right now. I'm like, what? And I look up and he's standing right in front of me. And I was like, hey, I know that guy. Little did I know that he had been messaging me for about 20 minutes, telling me, Steve, please look up. I think it's you, but I don't know for sure. Please, brother, please look up.
Steve.
I don't have Twitter DM notifications on. I'm sorry. I was watching.
You don't have
YouTube.
any notifications on.
No, I hate notifications. I know that this phone wants me to look at it as much as possible, and I turn everything off I can. It's like, nah, not falling for it. But
it's something I have to deal with.
But look, me and Rem then hang out. Obviously, we're on the same flight. We get to the airport. Crazy thing about NAIC, which is so awesome, is that you can collect your registration badge at the airport, which is crazy.
It's amazing.
It's so cool.
I remember seeing that last year and I was just like, that's so cool. You land, you get your luggage and you just go line up and rego and get your stuff sorted and go home or your hotel or whatever.
Yeah. Which just so convenient in the whole.
I love the little banner. It's like, welcome trainers. And I was just like, oh gosh, they're really well kitted for it. I understand why they've got like an extended contract with NOLA just to be like, hey, no, they do a good job. Okay, we'll stay here for a bit.
Yeah, the airport's happy with them, I guess. I don't think we got that sort of treatment at LAIC, that's for sure.
You're not going to get that in Oceania.
What, at OCIC?
Auckland. Come on, Auckland. You got to...
Step up, Auckland. We need you.
Next to the Lord of the Rings statue. Just just have a rojo desk there.
Yeah, I mean, it would be cool. Don't get me wrong. It would be very cool. But I ended up going straight to the venue anyway because I rode with Rem and his mate that he'd met at a previous regional, I think, and he was staying like right across the road from the venue, so we just went there and then I left from there anyway. I don't leave this man for 2 seconds. Like I head straight away. I've been in outside of the airport for no time at all, and this guy just yells at me, PvP Steve, big fan, I'm getting you to go. And I was like, all right, thanks. And I was like, I don't know who this guy is. He's just some VG guy. I don't know. And I was like, I've already been yelled at. I've been on the streets of New Orleans for 2 seconds and I'm being yelled at. Where am I?
Look at this celebrity. Like as soon as he lands, like he's got airport fans already. People lining up at airport for him.
Tweeting at me, I've spotted him in the airport. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Famous life, I guess. But I don't know. It sort of caught me off guard a little bit. I was like, this isn't wait, what's going on again? Right, I'm at a Pokemon event. This checks out. But anyway, end up going back to the Airbnb. I'm staying with a few of the Aussies, staying with Rick Flareon, and They Love Jai, Jins. Not too far from the venue, but I just crashed into their Airbnb, seeing as I was a late addition to NAIC. So I was just like, hey, does anyone have anything right now? They do? Great, I'm in. So it worked out quite nicely, but yeah, I mean, look, we just hung out, had wings. I think there were some last minute scrims, but the internet was pretty bad. So it was, I guess that was Thursday night. I got in really late, and it was NAIC time. I think the bracket had been like, it had popped up the night before, but very briefly, and so no one really caught any of it.
Yeah.
But then the morning of is when it sort of released. We were all sort of up. We were sort of scrolling through the bracket, seeing where everyone was. I've watched back most of the stream that you did with Wade in the lead up to NAIC, and like, you know, you guys were doing the same thing. It was like, oh, the bracket's up. Scroll through. let's you know, is what everyone does when the bracket comes up, right? To be honest with you, my bracket was probably one of the easier brackets, in my opinion. Obviously, there's no easy brackets, and it's seeded so that like there's top battlers in every bracket. But I felt like it was one of the easier ones in general.
Hey, you were seeded.
I mean, yeah.
Came second and third.
The point continues.
Special event. Does that mean you get seeded for LAIC?
I guess so. It will factor in, you know, the 2025 season for sure. So.
And you know, whatever you get at Worlds, right?
Yeah. Oh dear. Yep. But
we'll talk about that. Yeah, we've got like 7 weeks to prepare. It's okay.
Yeah, we've got a lot of time. But look, my call time wasn't until 11:45. But some of the Aussie guys were starting at 8:45. I think Rick and Jai were both starting at 8:45. So I was like, well, let's go in anyway. Let's hang out. We've got a venue to chill at, people to meet. But there was also an ulterior motive, Debbie, because I had to get there as early as possible because I had to meet up with one of the commentators of the event, Caleb Peng.
Yes.
And the reason that I had to meet up with one of the commentators, Caleb Peng, is because I have previously lost a bet on the Battle Cats podcast, hosted by said Caleb Peng, where the loser of the bet would have to wear a Slowpoke onesie at the next event that they compete in. Now, for me, that was looking terribly like it might have been the World Championships. So I was like, oh, let's get NAIC out of the way, hey? Let's make that happen. So yeah, I pick it up before he gets, like, you know, he's got his suit on, but before he gets the stream starts, and I'm like, great. So I'm, you know, slinking on my little Slowpoke onesie, which Debbie, it did not like. It was one size fits all. It was so weird proportions. I don't know how to describe. It was truly a baffling wonder of man.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. But not in a way that hindered me at the same time.
No.
Like, so actually, like, as far as one size fits all goes, it was actually pretty good, I think, as someone that's definitely on the smaller side of the equation.
Yeah. So it looked like it would fit someone that would fit like a like wide. It looked like a bit like you had a lot of give in the slope, like, but like not like tall wise. So I was kind of like, oh, if that was someone really tall, I think they would struggle in that.
Well, I don't think so, because also like I don't know how to describe it. I think I described it previously as the thigh gap. Like, you know, where the thigh gap goes, it was so low. Like, it was sort of like around where my ankles were. Not that low.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Actually, not that far away from that, to be honest with you. So I think it's sort of like, you know, if you were sort of taller, you'd actually feel it out a little bit better, I think. Like maybe it wouldn't reach straight down to your shoes, but like it would actually be fine. So interesting costume design, I will say.
Yeah. I got a message from Golf Professor. I know I may be jumping ahead. And he was also competing at NAIC and was in the same bracket as They Love Jai. And he sent me a message going, oh, it was so easy to spot Steve because he was in his Slowpoke onesie.
Yep. Look, the same thing, like Hurricane Kaz and T. Westell were having a chat, and they were sort of like, you know, the same morning, and they were like, oh, like, I wonder where Steve is. And then they turn, and out of the corner of their eye, there's this pink blob just amalgamating over on like, I'm just putting the onesie on, and it's like, oh, I think that's him. And so yeah, it was actually very handy in that many people, like, I was very easy to spot the entire day. So if anyone wanted me, very easy to find me. So it kind of worked out well. Plus, people actually, throughout the day, people kept saying they were jealous of the onesie because they were kind of cold in the venue, and they weren't expecting to be cold because New Orleans was so hot. And they're like, oh, really wouldn't mind a onesie right about now. And I was like, hey, some bets aren't too bad to lose. But, you know, I did do all of my battles in the Slowpoke onesie, etc. But I don't think anyone really took any photos. But, you know, it was there, you know.
Yeah.
The people saw it.
Well, Well, you had the photo that went on Twitter, and it also went up on the broadcast as well. So that was worth it.
Yeah. We sort of schemed. It was like, because I was going to make the tweet where we was like, oh, good to meet up with the Battle Cats podcast, blah 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 blah. P.S. Never, don't make a bet with Caleb.
Yeah.
But then I was like, nah, we can get this onto the broadcast. Let's cut out the self promo garbage and let's just go straight for the heart of the piece. Let's never make a bet with Caleb Peng, and lo and behold, onto the broadcast. So I haven't watched it back. I don't know what they said, but
I think they definitely talked about the slowpoke outfit. And then obviously, I think Butters was reading it out and was just like, it's like, you never make a bet with that man. Something along those lines. I was like, he would know.
Yeah, pretty funny on the whole.
I can't remember. But maybe it was both of them. I don't remember anymore. But yeah, it was funny.
Look, all that to say that just imagine that anything I talk about NAIC day one, I'm in a slowpoke onesie while I'm doing it. Which not the most important, but look, it was obviously really nice to catch up with everyone as well, which is the most important part of all of this. I had hours before I had to play, they actually pushed it back like an extra 40 minutes. Also, there were a ton of tech issues, but it's like I had so much time to just hang out with Ash and Ash, see Ian Arrow himself, meet all of the Americans and the Europeans that had traveled over. The people like Golf Professor. I met Negative Ben 10 for the first time, who was like one of my first ever patrons from like 2020. He's such a lovely guy. But like it's really cool just sort of meeting new people. Like at some point, it sort of feels like I feel like I've met everyone at this point at all of these events. But I'd never met Hurricane Kaz before. There's lots of new faces. Very cool.
Yeah, no, it is nice. I feel like it's we talk about the word community, but it honestly, you go to these events and you're just like, oh, they're my people. Like it's such a lovely vibe, and you're so comfortable in it. As in, like, you're like, oh yeah, like of these people because of whether it's Twitter or whether it's Discords or whether it's tournaments, and over time you just kind of like, oh yeah, that's right. Like I said, when Golf Professor, like he sent me a DM that not only did he spot you, but also sent me the selfie that he took with the both of you, and I was just like, oh. And then he's like, Steven, Rick didn't recognize me.
Oh, dude, he looks so different. Like he's gotten older.
He's gotten older, and I'm just like, I'm like, oh, I can tell, but yeah, it's yeah. Then I also said, like, it would never happen to me. I would always know.
Well, like, so he comes up and like he says hi, kind of excited, and I'm being polite, and I'm like, oh hey man, and then like I don't know who he is yet. But that was one of the biggest struggles of the entire weekend, was trying to figure out who people were, because the badges have your name on it, but it's got your like legal government name in big text, and your username so small and in text that was really hard to read. It's
hey, Josh.
Joshua, actually.
Joshua.
You'd be staring at people's cards trying to read it, and you just fail. You just, I can't read it. And then, they turn back to you and you're like, heck. So, I just didn't know who it was. And then until he said like, oh, Golf Professor. And I was like, no way. So, very, very cool to see him. But, did not recognize him at all. Even though I knew he was going to be there. Even with that primer, I was just like, who is this guy?
That's what happens with the kids, man. They grow up quicker, and then you're just like, what do you mean you're tall now?
Hey, I wouldn't go that far, but
next NAIC, he's going to overtake you.
Not tough.
Hey, look, I've been at this height since like year 7, like 13 years old. Like, if anything, I've gone shorter. So everyone's just overtaken me over time. When I'm at work, I see all the kids and they have to grow up. And like in my, I've been in my workplace for over 10 years. So the kids are just getting taller and taller. I'm like, stop it. Why are you feeding them? Stop it.
Well, I assumed that I'd also stopped, but then like I have since outgrown my OCIC suit that I still wear at every regional broadcast. So clearly there was a little bit of growth stuck in there somewhere. So we'll take it. Now we're probably done now.
Still growing.
Sure. Maybe copium.
Yeah. Take it. At least you're not doing what I'm doing, going backwards.
Yet. We'll try.
I'd like my 1 centimeter back, thanks.
Never coming back. Wear heels.
All right, off we go to China for surgery. Height surgery.
Finally. Yeah, look, hanging out with everyone was nice. Gave Tristan some warm-ups before he had to play, which I single-handedly believe is what set him up for success, and claim all of his success as my own. Because he had to, I mean, look, he's not joking when he says that he credits it a little bit, but you're welcome, Tristan. He was able to beat Beach because of me and my warm-up. So
look, I know Tristan's probably watching and listening to this, so yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, but I mean, spoilers, I guess, as well. But he did incredibly well, and it was really cool to watch him succeed. But we'll swing back around to it, I guess. Cool. Things of note. I mean, there were a lot of tech issues, specifically with regards to like GPS issues, where it would just constantly come up with like GPS not found. Which, not the end of the world. You can still battle through that screen. Yeah. The problem is that it mostly covers up like the typings in the top right-hand corner and like it gets in the way of the shields and stuff. And so some people just went like, nah, heck it, we ball and play it anyway.
Yeah.
I was like, no shot. I'm going to sit here and wait until this is resolved to do any of my battles. I'm not, if I can avoid putting myself at a disadvantage, I will avoid putting myself at a disadvantage. So the one round I was sitting down in particular, we were there for so long, just not battling, not trading team sheets, just sitting there waiting. And it was, unfortunate. Definitely delayed the tournament quite a bit, but I mean, it all sort of synced up in the end, I guess.
Was it the Wi-Fi there? Was that the issue?
I don't know. And like not the judges and stuff, but like the staff that were in charge of the internet and GPS and stuff, they seemed a little confused as well.
The reason why I thought it might be Wi-Fi was that it just takes me back to Hawaii and when the GPS was really bad at the convention center, and then the Wi-Fi network would go from the convention center and then it'll go back to New Orleans. So I have a Pokemon caught in New Orleans on my Pokemon Go account from Hawaii because of that GPS issue.
Yeah, so it wasn't that issue. And actually, I similarly have a lot of, I've actually caught a lot of Pokemon from Sydney Airport while I was at LAX. Which was, anyway, neither here nor there. I wasn't spoofing. So that issue is caused by your phone's GPS. Like there's a setting you can turn off and on that most people just have on by default, that it will use local Wi-Fi and internet, even if you don't have Wi-Fi and stuff on, where it'll use that to help it know where the GPS is. And so the GPS in the Hawaii venue was bad. And so it was like, oh, wait, I can just ask that Wi-Fi where we are. And the Wi-Fi thought that they were still in New Orleans because they hadn't reset it. So that was like that very specific issue. This one is just like, nah, man, I'm clueless. I have no clue where we are, bro. We are lost.
GPS was like, oh no, I don't know.
Beats me. Other than that, like there weren't a lot of issues outside of that I heard about, to be honest with you. It was mostly just that, which did come up a lot, but there wasn't a lot of issues outside of that. In saying that, in my very first round, there was I did have one turn lag that sort of cost me the game, so I did have to unfortunately, because like I've never asked for a rematch before in like the official championship series, like at regionals or ICs or whatnot.
Yeah.
And so I was sort of sitting there going like, I knew that I got one turn lag, and I was just sitting there trying to go like, okay, let me just think like if it mattered. And by pure coincidence, Ashton Ash was sitting there like battling against me, and like I didn't know this at the time, but he was absolutely shooting me daggers. It's like, brother, I saw that. Like, this is a rematch. Put your hand up. And so he told me after, he was like, I was about to hit you. Like, dude. But I eventually put my hand up, showed it to the judge. The judge gave me the rematch, which it sucks. Like the thing that sort of stops me from asking for rematches often is that I don't like, no one seems to win out of that scenario unless the person that had the rematch against them wins anyway. Because it's like I ended up winning the set, but it feels like I stole it. Because it was like, oh, he thought that he was 2-0 and through to the next round. And then I just went like, yoink. jokes. And like, I don't like that. Like, I know it's not my fault, but it doesn't feel good regardless. It doesn't feel like a good win.
It's the game we play, which is unfortunate, because if it was a very smooth running game, we wouldn't have these issues. You wouldn't have to advocate for yourself or something like that. And Ori, I haven't met Ashton Ash, but given everything that you've mentioned about him, I already like him as a person. Now I like him even more. If he was going to hit me, I'm all for violence.
Okay, noted. Violence against Steve is a big plus in Debbie's book.
I'm just going to message him right now. It's like, next time you hit him, for sure.
No, obviously, that would probably be pretty anti against the rules sort of shenanigans if he was actually imposing on you should ask for a rematch, man.
Yeah. And it's also another thing we don't get a lot of practice in, right? So I feel like the more that you attend, or any player attends from the Oceania region, goes to the regionals, goes to the ICs, the more that they can practice these things of reviewing and being putting your hand up, because it is difficult. It's something that needs to be practiced, and it was one of my goals for the local scene in Perth, because I had 3 goals that I want to achieve, and one of them was, if anyone of the players from Perth could get a travel award, then we'll try and go for it. The second was to make sure that we have a thriving scene in Perth, and the third was to practice on reviews and disputes, that people could actually have a safe environment to do that, so that if they were to pursue and go further, that they had that practice to try and advocate for themselves. Because sometimes, especially, I feel like gamers they don't touch grass as often, so therefore the social skills, or whether it's the something happens and trying to verbalize it, sometimes doesn't always connect. Therefore I'm like, oh well, we just need to practice this then, and once it's practiced, then it's in place, and therefore when the time happens, that you can do it a lot easier than if it just suddenly comes out of the blue. Not naming names.
This feels like Perth slander. I don't know what to say. It seems targeted at someone, but I won't speculate. But I did realize while you were talking that I did forget that I did get a rematch in Johannesburg as well. But
you did.
To be fair, that one was all essentially self-given because I raised my hand, I got the judge over, but they didn't know.
Yeah.
Luckily, it was a very obvious dispute, but still.
And it might have been from the that match with Alan that you got a lot of feedback from afterwards, and that might have been another thing to be like, oh, why you're umming and ahhing about it as well. So again, even having Ashton Ash there just to be not tell you what to do but encourage, I think that's
to be clear, he did not encourage in any way.
Oh, he just looked at daggers. He was just kind of
I didn't see him looking at me. I didn't see him watching my battle. I didn't know any of this. To be very, very clear. He told me this after.
Right.
I was sitting there very much just in my own little universe thinking about that.
No, fair.
Yeah. But, we got there in the end.
I suppose, is there a stream delay on when they're playing on stage?
There isn't on the screen that we see, but there is to Twitch.
Okay. Because I always wondered if someone could sit in the front row or of a match and just be with
respect
who wants to be a millionaire
stuff, or where did this thought train come from?
I don't know. It's me you're talking to.
Fair enough.
Well, you know what I'm talking about with Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, right? The cost.
Yeah. The answer to your question is theoretically someone could do that, but obviously if they got caught, there's cameras all over the shop, then
of course,
there'd be some pretty big trouble. Especially if the judges are on stage looking at the battlers, right? And if they watch this battle and just keep looking to this one spot in the crowd, and then they look at the one spot and this guy's going,
oh no, I've given it away now.
Especially if they only look where there's charge moves being thrown or something like that. Where it's it's the bait.
If I tap left, it's bait. If I tap right, it's the official move.
Yeah. But to answer your question, yes, that is possible.
Mm.
I mean, you were at OCIC. Same setup.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah. It's just such a
And
fast game. I
Worlds,
don't think it's
obviously.
like you wouldn't want to take your eyes off the game at all.
Nah, that's right. I mean,
It's too
many of
hard.
us I look all over the place, to be honest with you. Yakko really gets his eyes some mileage when he plays.
No, I was just trying to think of like for example, like tennis, like in between matches, like sometimes the players will look at the their box and like, whether their coach makes a gesture or not.
Mm-hmm.
So I just kind of
I think
thinking about
that's off kilter for the go side of things, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
No,
but all good. Anyway, that's off tangent. That's very tangent. So back to
anyway,
NAIC.
Yeah, so Otto ends up winning the first match against Dark Quark, who lovely guy. And like I do feel really bad for him. Because like he clearly like took the the sort of rematch loss harder. Because like he definitely felt like he'd got it. Which I feel bad for him because he was so nice. But then I have to end up play Teddy Bear XD in the next round. Who we met at Worlds last year, and so like game one I had like a guaranteed win, but I went for a catch that I didn't need to go for, and I got the catch, but I lost the game because of it. In the moment, because it's a very dynamic team, it felt like the move made sense to me, but it was not if I just stayed in, which is, to be honest, happens. That's probably one of my bigger lose cons is sometimes like I'll think like, okay, hang on, this catch makes sense, and it's like, oh, you could have just stayed in, man. It would have been fine. Not like it was an obvious stay in, but if you really thought about it, it was like. So I lose game one from a guaranteed win, and then game two I run an ABA line and I get called. It's just GG's on the spot. So I took a risk. I took a dumb risk. I don't really know. Like I was ABA weak to Dedenne, and I'd even decided like at some point in my prep for like game two, I was like, he's going to bring Dedenne. And yet I still brought a line that was ABA weak to it. I don't know. I don't know if I was just confident that he wasn't going to lead it, which maybe I was. I was wrong. I can tell you that much. But it didn't end up going well for me. So ended up losing to Teddy Bear, but that's fine. I don't particularly mind at that point. Truth is, like, motivation with this event, like, it wasn't super high. Because like I didn't really need anything out of it. I wanted to perform well. Especially with all of the prep work from like Ash and Ash. Like I don't want to say like, oh, like I didn't even try. I tried. I put a lot of effort in this tournament. But because then I end up losing my.
There wasn't as much on the line, say, than compared to like Durban. So.
No, not at all, not at all. Although this was definitely harder than Durban, put it that way.
What? No Caterpies?
No Caterpies that I faced at the very least. But I can't speak for the rest of the tournament. You never know. But yeah, then in the losers bracket, I end up losing to Spinosaurus as well. It's it was 1-2. It sort of came close. One of the game, like the game 3 decider, I literally lost because of bad one turn Fury Cutter timing. If I sort of gave him one free turn because I threw one Fury Cutter early, and that one turn decided the match. It's like tough. Because I mean, one turn moves are definitely one of my weaker points, I will admit. Just because they're a little, look, 2 turn, 3 turn, 4 turn, 5 turn, I'm all over it. But one turn moves are just a little bit like, I think I click now, but it turns out I was off by 1. My bad. Especially when there's swaps involved and you sort of have to get like, I think we're at here. I get a little bit lost. So, like again, I wasn't too upset. I got 129th because I got a buy out of the first round because of seeding, not like a no-show buy. Like, I didn't get any no-shows. There were so many people that got no-show wins. Missed me with that. Scammed.
You went in Group P or whatever it was. Like
Group P. Yeah, actually, you know what? That's where a Gone 1001 was, and the only like thing that I could have extracted out of this tournament, outside of like an amazing run with like prize money and such, would have been if I outperformed Gone. Then I would, get a chance at like the world's travel stipend, I think. But yeah, he ended up getting top 128. He didn't get any no-shows either, which is crazy being in the group of no-shows. But still, he made it in. So he got 2 wins anyway. So I
Mhm.
worked out for him. And to be honest with you, the Aussies as a whole did actually quite well. I was the only one there that did not get points from the Aussie contingent. So
I did quite enjoy the post of like after day one, and then everyone putting up like, oh, what the score is, and then sorry, Steve.
yeah, look, I sort of said this in the tweet, and I said it a few times, and like, I think I played better than my result would suggest.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, like it just barely didn't go my way, but I think I played decent
Good.
on the whole. But was it as good as my Johannesburg play? Probably not. I was probably a little. Oh, I mean, depends. But yeah. Anyway, I think
I've seen the footage. It's debatable in regards of like whether you could have won the whole thing.
I mean, I definitely could have won, like 100%. Like that. That's undisputed. It's like one little mistake and lag, depending. If there was no lag, one little mistake and I win the whole thing. But anyway. Yeah, so I didn't walk away like upset in the slightest out of this loss. I was very content. I was like, no, it went fine. Like I was like, oh, sorry, Ash and Ash, for wasting all your effort, but no, it was big improvement. And then Ash and Ash ended up doing very well. He ended up top 12, which again, not what he wanted, not what I wanted for him. But there were a few others piloting the team as well. Obviously, Ian Mero was running it. I think. Richie might have ended up changing at the last minute, actually. Yeah, maybe Richie didn't run it. Marto Galde, who was supposed to cast NAIC, which was very exciting.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there were work visa issues, and he ended up having to compete.
Why? Because we were like all on the stream being like, Marto playing? Why is he like? Because he was in the intro and on all the graphics and everything, and then suddenly like he's actually playing. So we're just like, huh?
Yeah. It's like the day before the tournament, Ash and Ash messages me and he's like, oh, here's the list of people that are running the team. And it had Marto on it. And at the time I was like, oh yeah. And I didn't think of it. And then the next day I was like, wait, Marto? Why would Marto be running the team? He's casting. And then I rocked up to the venue and Marto was on the screen. And I was like, huh?
Yeah.
And then I didn't hear until like later in the day that it was like, oh, there were, visa issues. Sort of, I don't know, like who's, what they were, if it was like a TPCI oopsie or if it was just a USA being silly or what the deal was. I don't know. But yeah, apparently it was visa issues, which is very sad. Because like not only would it have been really cool to see the man like have probably the greatest season of anyone, I would argue. I know that Elam has a claim to fame pretty solidly, but like it's hard to fight against Marto. Especially with the legacy component as well. But for him to cap that off with casting one of the biggest tournaments of the year, we're just doing really cool. And so he sort of got thrown into the tournament without as much prep as he would have done otherwise. He didn't do as well as he would have wanted. He used the Ash and Ash team, but he changed one of the Pokemon. I think he said that he sort of wished that he didn't. But yeah, I do feel bad for him, unfortunately. But yeah, it is what it is. I think in his tweet he was like, "Oh, it would have been nice to like finish it off with the Merida win." But well, it is what it is. Got some extra reps in, I guess.
Yeah, a bit unfortunate in regards to like. Unfortunately, I don't think it will be the last we hear about visa issues and people at in America or elsewhere. When it comes to broadcasting, whether it was like it just kind of all I can think of is like Yokohama and Wholesome, and like just that didn't go through because of just visa issues. So it's just unfortunate, but that's okay. It's like there's worse things in the world.
Yeah. That's true. But yeah, look,
still sucks. Don't get me wrong. Yeah.
I fear the next 2 years of USA World Championships when it comes to visa issues, and I dread the incoming tweets of people that will not be able to compete. We'll find out. Yippee! Yay!
It will be, I think, a flurry in the next month. Now that everything's solidified, come to the leaderboard. So, yeah, I mean, yeah.
Very good. But you know,
Yes.
it is what it is, I guess. So I mean, like as far as NAIC goes, like we sort of can go two directions here. We can talk about the tournament and like the results and the who performed well, and then circle back around to I don't know whatever else I got up to, or we can flip that the other way around. Up to you. Where would you like to go?
I'd like to see what you got up to after you finish your tournament run.
All right. Yeah. Well, actually, there was. So here's some behind the scenes action, perhaps. In that 2-0 Butters, he wasn't. So he was like sort of on the official roster for the weekend. He was working, but he wasn't casting. Instead, his role was sort of essentially segment man. Like he would do interviews and stuff. He did the intro. He was around at the closing as well. But he was recording segments sort of all weekend. So the little, segments that get played as the caster swap videos. He was just doing a lot of that. And so pretty early on, Butters was like, I think he messaged me the week before and he's like, hey, when are you getting to New Orleans? And I was like, sorry, man, I'm getting in Thursday night. Like, I wish. And he's like, really wanted to do like a sort of a similar segment to what we did it in Yokohama. In Honolulu, where we sort of recap all of the Aussies that are competing, because there were a lot. Like it was almost as many as competed at World last year, just at NAIC, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, 8 Australians.
Yeah, big contingent, which is pretty cool. But I was too late for that, so it's like, all right, no, we'll figure something out. And so I actually won't spoil what the segment was, but the reason that it's not like, what do you mean spoil? You filmed it and everything, is that it never got shown. we spent a lot of time recording it, and like we spent we had to record it in like 4 different goes because there were like multiple sort of scenes, I guess, and we recorded them separately. We actually had to re-record one bit as well, because Butters recorded on his phone, and then we sort of re-recorded it the next day on like the proper official camera. But the whole time of day one, like I was wearing the Slowpoke onesie as well. So we were like, oh, this is how we get the Slowpoke onesie on stream. Never ended up getting played. So again, I won't spoil it, just in case, it comes up in a future regional or something. Maybe it gets played, like it won't get played at Worlds. Maybe it gets played at like the first North American regional. I don't know. But maybe we get to see the Slowpoke onesie. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. But I like
where is the onesie now?
I have it. It's upstairs.
I see.
But because I was like, hey, Caleb, you want this back? And he went, you keep it. Heck. It took up so much of my luggage. It was so big. But I got it home in the end. Luckily, I only like went to New Orleans with like a half-filled suitcase. So it sort of worked out okay. But yeah, I had a lot of fun filming with Butters as well. Like I had a really good time. He was like apologetic that like it didn't get shown and whatnot. But like, to be honest with you, I was just happy to do something interesting. I have a great time doing extra little production bits and whatever else. And, planning things out, scheming. It was, I had a good time. So shout out Butters. And to be honest with you, I still actually appeared on stream in one of the segments anyway, because there was a Speediest Chief Gabby Snyder segment where they were talking about GoFest, and they were sort of throwing beanbags and frisbees at this little sort of like tic-tac-bow sort of board that would like knock little segments out of.
Tic-tac-bow.
Sorry, the Olympic athlete speaking.
Oh, sorry. My bad.
But I was, I sort of just like jumped in the background and like collected them after they threw them. So those tiny little cameos. I think like Hurricane Kaz asked me, he's like, oh, that was you. So yeah, so I was there. No Slowpoke onesie, but still a little bit of a cameo at least.
Very much the like in a tennis match, the ball boys in the background. Just like
I was like, heck yeah, I want to be a ball boy. That's awesome. But yeah, it was cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, Butters was like so thankful and whatnot. He didn't need to be. I thought it was awesome. I had a great time. I love novelty. If I can have fun doing something a little bit weird or a little bit novel, I am so on board. You've got no clue.
Yeah.
So
it is very nice to have something different.
Yeah. Speaking of something different, something that unfortunately didn't actually play out well was that at 1 p.m. on both the Friday and the Saturday, I don't know about Sunday, there was a TCG Pocket tournament. And I sort of like forgot that this existed on day one. But Pogo Ash, very famous battler,
Mm-hmm.
who we're both big fans of. We hung out a
Yes.
few times over the last few Worlds.
Mm-hmm.
And she is a big pocket enjoyer,
Yes.
huge pocket enjoyer, incredibly good at the game.
Mm-hmm.
She was top 500 recently, and maybe even higher. I'm not even sure, but
Mm-hmm.
very good at the game. She missed the first tournament because it was sort of like she usually doesn't compete at these ICs and stuff,
No.
and so she
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, it starts at 1 p.m. I'll go over for 1 p.m." Not realizing that Rego
Retro's
closes like
earlier.
for like 12:30. It's like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
okay, I'll do the tomorrow one. And
Uh-huh.
so she was like, oh, she was sort of like, "Oh, Steve, want to do it?" And I was like, "Heck yes, I want to do it. That sounds awesome."
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, on the Saturday, like around that 1 p.m. spot, was when like a lot of battles that I wanted to watch on stream were playing. So like we had Ash and Nash was playing, and so I was like, oh, "Look, I would have loved to, but well, I guess another time. There'll be future pocket tournaments.
Yes.
Maybe like next time it won't be an event that Ash and Nash is at and playing. So I don't
Mm-hmm.
know." So I was like, well, it is what it is. And I don't know. I assume that she ended up getting to play. I hope she ended up getting to play.
Mm-hmm.
But she did, hook me up with a. Now, I couldn't say this word all weekend. It is the pastry that is famous in New Orleans.
Beignets.
Beignet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had some horrid pronunciations throughout the weekend. Hurricane Kaz
Beignets.
heard the worst of them. Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah.
Beignets, is that?
Beignets. Yeah.
Beignets.
So just
Okay.
if you spell it, just use the word Ben and then yay.
Beignet. Okay,
Yeah.
that'll work for the rest of this podcast. Correct us in the comments because I'm sure that's inaccurate as well.
Yeah.
But maybe we'll just blame it on the Aussie accent, right? Surely.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, she gave me one of those and was like, "Oh, you've got to try this." And obviously, I'm a little cautious when it comes to food. So I was like, "What is it? Like, give me the full breakdown of what you
It's a
were about to
donut.
hand me." Yeah, I mean pastry,
Yeah.
sugar.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, all right. I mean, it was delicious. it was
They're
very, very
very
good.
famous.
Yes.
The one in New Orleans. So
Yes.
I did see a lot
Cafe
of
du
posts of people
Monde.
with the beignets. I'm just like, oh, I love beignets.
Yeah, it was pretty good. And so like it was still a little warm, but like it wasn't,
Mhm.
it had been in a bag for a little bit.
Yeah.
So she was like, "Oh, you've got to get real ones." And so who was sitting next to us but 2 Butters, and he was like, "Oh, I tried one at like the hotel breakfast, but it was pretty bad." And it was like, it was basically just like a donut. That's all he had, powdered donut. Which is like the vibe of what this is, but it's better.
It's so much better. It's like
and so I was
fluffy
like,
pillow.
yeah. It's like, "Oh, do you want to try this one?" And then he sort of like looked down at his suit and it was like, let's rain check on that one. Because it's a very messy food as well. So at that point, he sort of was like, "All right, let's get them on Monday." And I went, "Bet, lock it in." Sounds good. So other than that, I mean, the tournament went pretty late on day one for sure, mostly because there were so many tech issues, I think. But it was still cool watching like the Aussies do pretty well. They Love Jai made it to day 2, the first ever Australians make it to day 2 of an IC, and also like They Love Jai's first time competing overseas, right?
Yeah, my boy.
Yeah.
I'm ecstatic because Jai was that one that was just not quite like if he needed like an extra couple challenge, and we did it on that last weekend that we could just tip him over. Sorry, Jamathi, if you're listening, just to tip him over so he could get travel award. And the fact that he went over and did like a day 2 in an IC, which is incredible. So I was cheering. The Perth boys, like on a different Discord, they were up waiting for Jai to be on stream. So I think like Laluloha was up. Laluloha, Ricky, if you're listening, I know this as well, he usually goes to bed very early. He was up until like when Jai was on. So I think it was like 4 a.m. Perth time. And he was just waiting and waiting. Like the boys were, they were in voice chat, just waiting for, I think just until he was on. He changed his username to We Love Jai. So yeah, we were cheering from our side. I could not stay up that late, so I was just like, all right, I'll just watch it in the morning. And great to see that he was on stream twice as well. Something again, that practice for the intensity of the cameras, the lights, just the whole production we don't get over here in Oceania, let alone in Perth. So I was like, good. I'm glad that he needs that under his belt, because I can see, like, if this is his first showing for an IC, his first international trip, and to debut it at an IC, like, he's got so much potential in the future. So yeah, he's got a taste for it now, I feel like. So see how he goes.
Yeah, well, he's big. Like, I think what really set him up for success is, like, it's so crazy that this just keeps happening again and again and again. But his recipe for success was the fact that he had Shadow A9 on his team. He was just like such an amazing core breaker for the NAIC meta. It just crushed. It was like, so many times he would come away from a match and he was like, dude, A9 beat like 6 out of 6. And he was just like, well, what can you do? It was like, dang, man. Like, it was a good read. And like, there was some talk in the Aussie Discord about like ice types being a really good core breaker. Yes. And it's like, I mean, I agreed, but I was just going to run whatever Ash Nash told me. That was, unmistakable. But I was a little bit shocked how slowly the meta moved into ice types, because there weren't that many. And so people weren't really prepared for them. And A9, again, it just did so well, which is so funny, because also on the Pokemon.com, website for the NAIC preview, they had like a few photos of some players, and they included They Love Jai, but they didn't have a photo on file. And so instead they used a picture of Shadow Alola Ninetales as the picture of They Love Jai.
I thought it was hilarious. I think I screenshotted that. I was just like, yep.
Yep. But then the Jai photo controversy continues, because at the very beginning of the day one broadcast, they show a few faces for every region. And they actually got Jai to come in the day before to get like a proper photo of him, because they were going to use it on the broadcast. Yeah. And then the Aussies come up on screen and it's a Pikachu silhouette. They don't even use the photo. It's like, why did I come in?
You know what? More than likely, his eyes were closed. Because every photo, I swear, I have of Jai, 90% of it, his eyes are closed. It just, somehow, it always happens.
Yeah, look, it's not impossible. I would have thought that would look, though. But yeah, it's just sort of funny that like 2 out of 2, they wanted to use a photo of Jai and they just didn't. They're just like, nah, we're going to go for this instead. But poor guy. They've got one on file at least. So
yeah, it's there
maybe
now.
He's got his eyes closed.
Hey, look, it can be used in the future, so at least it's there.
Yeah, that's
right.
And
worst case, we can do like a Melbourne job, like I did for like for Greg and like the top 3.
Hey, it worked. TPCI put them on stream, which was pretty sick.
I did.
I don't know if we talked about that, but that was pretty sick.
I was very happy with that when I saw it. I was like, yay! My phone did good.
Yeah, Debbie photography on the main broadcast. Let's go.
I'd like my commission now.
Yeah, it's a shame they don't have any advertising dollars on that broadcast. I don't think they're affiliate.
I think they are. You can actually get subs.
I'm sure. I think they actually got given partner just for freebies.
Well, makes sense. It is a big corp.
Yeah, just lock them in as like, this is Pokemon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I think I don't know if anything else like of note major happened on that first day. The Aussies. I sort of went with the Aussie contingent for dinner. We ended up getting Japanese. You can guess what I got.
Your favorite?
Comes in chicken form, so
karage.
Yeah, got fed. And then we went back. Obviously Jai had to prepare. We kind of just chilled a little bit because the rest of us were out, right? It was like very chill. It was just Jai to go.
Yeah,
we were out a little bit late, but I think it was just Aussies plus Vala Benito. I think was with us as well. The famous Ben Speedy. So yeah, I mean Saturday we went in pretty early again. I don't think because like Jai didn't battle until the afternoon because he was in losers bracket.
Quite late because it was losers round 1 or like into day 2 losers bracket takes a whole lot longer. It's like ages away.
I don't think they started till like 1:45 or something. In the afternoon. Like it was a long time. But Ash and Ash was battling in the morning, so I was like, watch my goat. I think he was battling on tables for the most part. I think he lost his first winners match, and then he was on tables maybe. And it's like, I was sort of like watching his matches with like his hand covering half the phone. I was just like, if like his opponent would throw the last charge move, I was like, but he was doing pretty well. He ended up getting like back onto stream, but yeah, unfortunately ended up the top 12. But still,
yeah.
Look, he's good at the game, but he had to face some tough opponents for sure. I think Axon is who knocked him down to the losers bracket the first time, after also beating him in Portland in top 4. Maybe it was top 4. I think he got
yeah,
beat.
I heard this Axon guy's pretty good.
Yeah, turns out he knows a thing or two about the game. But yeah. But yeah, I mean, food access was kind of poor in the venue as well. It was like, I ate like a muffin for breakfast 2 days in a row, and then that's kind of all I ate until like pretty late.
Is this why you're only revealing this to me now? Like you didn't want to tell me what you ate?
Well,
yeah. If anyone's listening to the podcast and does not know already, I get very, very I get concerned when Steve doesn't eat. So like whenever I'm traveling with him, I usually carry packs of food. So worlds will be fine because I'll have things ready. I've already started like getting an inventory of things.
Yeah. Okay. To be fair, not only did Pogo Ash hook me up with a beignet.
I thought it was Kaz.
No. That was Pogo Ash. But Hurricane Kaz did. So if I said it wrong earlier, apologies. But she did give me a little bag of like chocolate pretzels, I think, as well. So shout out Kaz for feeding the hungry.
Duly noted. Next time that you are somewhere, I'll just need to get some like girls at PvP and just like, can you please feed Steve?
Look, they just seem to be more prepared than I am.
Yeah, I think that's yeah, okay. No more. Nothing needs to be said more about that.
To be fair, like I packed snacks from home, but I wasn't going to try and get them through US customs. I was like, I don't know where the risks are. I know that it's way harder getting food into Australia than like into the US, but I was just like, we're taking no risk.
It is so easy to take food to the US.
Yeah,
so easy.
I didn't want to risk it. I was like,
I know, that's okay. I'll take the risk. It's fine. I'll take it to LA. I'll be on my back anyway. Let's be honest.
Fair. But yeah, I mean, Saturday, like, we watched Dry Battle, obviously. Unfortunately, did get out. Ended up getting knocked out by Battle Bill, which he did. He was very confident going to that match because he thought A9 was really good. But sort of two things. One is that he was a little bit regular Quagsire. Shadow Quagsire, he was sort of okay into, but regular Quagsire really threw him for a loop, and it was a little bit... if Battle Bill got like the correct baits, then it was going to be really scary. And Battle Bill was doing pretty well on the bait front, to be fair. I think like in a start of game, like he gets the Aquatail bait, which really makes it tough. But then he was also actually talking instead of what you were talking before about that sort of stream thing where Jai was sort of saying that he was so confident that he had a good team comp into Battle Bill that when he got on stage, he was actually a little bit like maybe it's in his head a little bit. He was like, now it would be like really embarrassing to lose. So I think it was just in his head a little bit, which again is sort of part of the experience that we just don't get in Australia. Where like, usually there isn't that level of that. You don't get that opportunity for pressure. I mean, we don't even have day 2. You don't have a full night to look at the team and be like, yeah, I got this. You just don't have the time.
There have only been a selected few Australians that have experienced a day 2.
Yeah.
And that the fact that he got to do that, I think that's like, an experience under his belt. So I'm very happy for that. But yeah, I agree. It's just once the lights are shining on you, you're just like, oh, okay, right.
Yeah.
But hey, he got 2 Play Pokemon shirts, or apparently 3. So
yeah, apparently 3. So, I'm glad he got his shirts up. Someone actually asked me while I was at NAIC, they were like, what's it like, battling on stream? And I couldn't really I haven't played on stream since OCIC 2023. It's been over 2 years at this point.
Yes.
But like I sort of to me, I was just like, I don't even remember being on stage. Like I sort of remember being there, but I was the crowd didn't exist, the cameras didn't exist. I was just playing a match when I was on stream. But then I was like, maybe that's because I'm Twitch blind. I don't know.
True.
I don't know. But like, to be honest, if I was like Twitch coded, I think I would have been playing to the audience. Like that sort of in my head. I was like, I didn't know where the cameras were. The 2 times I was on stream, I would have loved to look at the camera. I didn't know where it was. Which
all I can picture is you going calculated.
Well, one of my stream matches might have gone that way. The other one,
we won't talk about that one.
Not so much. Yikes! But yeah, I'm hunting for that opportunity to be on stream again. Maybe we just have to actually go cracked at Worlds, not for performance, not for the world champion title, just to get back on stream, just to try.
Yeah.
The problem is I need to go on a bit of a better winners run.
We need to get you into like a higher like group, so group A, group B, group C, or something like that, instead of like later in the day when they already got their broadcast programming all pretty sorted out.
That was the main. I mean, again, if I won more, I would be on stream.
Of course.
In Gdansk, I was in Group B, and Group A was the one they were streaming until like later on into the groups. So I sort of needed to progress a little bit far to actually get on stream in Gdansk. Just again because of group luck. If I was in Group A, I would say like guaranteed would have been put on stream. But yeah, it is what it is. Maybe one day we'll get lucky. We'll find out. Just have to wait and see, I guess. But I'll be ready. But
we'll see what happens in the world.
Yeah, I guess. Other than that, though, like I did hit up the Pokemon Center as well. Unfortunately, no content creator bonus this time. I had to go in with everyone else like a fair citizen. And there was some shirts that I actually wanted to get. Weren't in my size. It was like, So I walked away pretty empty-handed for the most part out of the Pokemon Center. It's like, well, like I'm not. Like I don't even remember the shirts I was going to get because I didn't look at the catalog beforehand. I was just like, I'm going to look around and see. So I would have liked them, but I'm not too stressed. It didn't. Hasn't broken my heart, and I'm a little bit richer for not paying. So
you know who's not richer? Me, because now I have your NAIC discount code.
True. This all makes sense. Makes sense.
So when Steve was at the Pokemon Center, he got a discount code for the Pokemon Center US. Oh no, NA and EU. Was it applicable for both? I think
NA Canada.
In Canada, yeah, the online store.
Just NA, I think. US Canada.
And I was just like eyeing it, and when you posted up on your Discord, I was eyeing it. I'm just like, oh, no, maybe someone else will take it, maybe, and then I was just like, no one responded to it. I was like, hey, hi there.
Oh, hi there.
Yeah. And the reason why is because recently Pokemon Center have released a whole bunch of Ditto faced plushies. And a lot of them are the evolutions, which I think will be pretty cool. There's a few that aren't in stock at the moment, but I was like, well, it has a good 5 out of the 7 or 8, whatever it is. So I was like, yeah, that's still decent. Discount code will help if I'm buying bulk. And managed to, I think both Love All Always and Mel Good both put up their hand to happily be my warehouse until Anaheim. I haven't done the purchase yet, but yes, thank you for the code. Thank you. Thank you for going to the Pokemon Center.
Yep, you're welcome, I guess. I mean, we'll see what's also at the Pokemon Center at Worlds, I suppose. If there'll be stock, we'll find out. I'll find out at the very least. Other than that, though, there wasn't a lot else that happened on that day. Like, it was a pretty chill, low-key day. Actually, this is important because this is something I talked about after Gdansk, I suppose, where there's a bit of weakness in Gdansk, in Europe, when it comes to the social fronts. If London's finest isn't hosting something, North America, by comparison, is so bad. North America is so bad at doing socials. No one organized anything at all. There was no plans beforehand. It was just the first day, everyone was just sort of last minute, oh, do you want to come to dinner with me? Do you want to come to just in their own little cliques? Apparently there was a party. I didn't get an invite. I didn't know. I don't know where the party was going on, but it sure wasn't attended by me. And so it was like, oh well. So then on the Saturday, like,
Mm-hmm.
these rumors happen like at the very very end of the day. This is like 6:30 p.m. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
it sounds like Mish comes up to me and she's like,
Yes.
okay, it sounds like people are going to go to this spot. It's like, all right,
Yeah.
like at
Okay.
least we've got
Yeah.
something. And so I
Mm-hmm.
spread it around. It's like, all right, I think we're going to this spot. And so we rock up. We're the first one, or we're like the second ones there.
Uh-huh.
We grab a table. There's tons of space. And it's like, oh, this actually works out nicely. And then
Uh-huh.
we're like, weird that no one else is rocking up. Why
Yeah.
is no one else here?
Mm-hmm.
And then we check Discord, and the messages are like, oh, they turned us all away because they said there wasn't enough staff for capacity, so we've just gone to this place instead. And it's like,
Right.
well, I mean, we've already ordered dinner, like we're here anyway,
Yeah.
so we like stick around, we eat.
Mm-hmm.
There was so much space. I guess they didn't have staff to serve
Yeah.
the amount of space
Mm-hmm.
that they had.
Mm-hmm.
And so, eventually we sort of go over and join them. It's pretty late in the piece, to be honest with
Yeah.
you. But it was just like, man, there's been no organization, like no one's contacted any venues, no one's
Mm-hmm.
tried a single thing. There's apparently, again, there is a separate party that is going on that some people left to go to. Again, no invite my way, no public invitation. It's all very private, cliquey sort of vibes. And it's like, I don't know. It was very disappointing compared to, like,
Yeah.
obviously in Australia, everyone just goes to the same spot. Like, it's
Yeah.
just
Yeah. Yeah.
whoever is around will end up at the one spot and we all hang. I
Mm-hmm.
love that. And
Yeah, it's just what we do. I just and I think that just goes to show how community based we're over here, and that everyone is just kind of like, all right, we've done a tournament, all right, we'll hang together at the end and just chat and chill. And because we don't get a chance to really chill out during the tournament, and everyone can kick back, and whether it's a Saturday night, whether it's the Sunday as well, that you're still hanging out till late getting ice cream. So
yeah, yeah, that's right. But it's like Hurricane Kaz and Tiwa still, like, they sort of invited me to go with dinner with their sort of like larger mob as well,
yeah,
and it just wasn't food I was going to eat, and so I was like,
yeah,
I'll go if that's the social occasion. But then
yeah.
the Aussies were going to go somewhere else where I was going to eat, so I was like, okay, I'll go the place where I know that I will actually eat.
Yes.
At least I'll see everyone tomorrow anyway.
Yes. Yeah.
But like, then Tristan sent like a message, like a photo of everyone that was at the table, and it was like,
Uh-huh.
at Steve, is this enough of a social for you, or
Mhm.
is this not enough of a social for you? And it's like, a full table of people, and
Yeah.
I was just like, no. Like, the Australian ones are bigger than this, and this was a 260 person tournament. This is one of the biggest tournaments in the world, and you're getting a turnout at like one dinner lower than we get in Australia, and it's just like there's something missing
Yeah.
here. So
So, NA,
I'm pretty
pull up your
disappointed.
game. Pull up your social game.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
that's
for sure.
embarrassing. I'm calling it out. As someone that organizes events a lot, I'm calling it out. That's
Yeah,
embarrassing.
yeah. It was pretty rough, but it is what it is. Hopefully
Yeah.
someone's putting a social together for Worlds. I hear rumors that there is one being put together, but
Mm.
we'll wait and see if they can, redeem North America.
Yeah.
Because we will see. But
We will
anyway,
see. Mm.
eventually when we end up going to this other place where the people have gathered, it is actually, it looks like a real social. I mean, again, it's small. There's another party that other people are at, but
Yeah.
like, I think one of the first people I talked to was like Z's Wireless, who
Mhm.
I loved hanging out with in Gdansk. I wish I got to hang out with him more
Mhm.
at this tournament. He was pretty busy. He came like fourth, so
Yeah.
you know,
He was just a little bit busy. Walked away with a trophy,
yeah. But I think, like, I was talking to him, and I don't know if I think he suggested, like, oh, like, do you want a photo with the trophy? And I was like, obviously I want a photo with the trophy. And he was like, do you want it like out of the box? And I was like, I guess. I mean, and so, like, he pulls it out, and my hope was that, like, oh, if this is a good photo, I will use this on like the next caster graphic. Like me and the IC trophy.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the photo quality was pretty poor. The lighting was really bad. It wasn't a
Yeah.
good photo. I
I'm
still
shaking
tweeted
my
it.
head because of like that quality of that photo was not
Yeah.
good. It's a good
No,
photo. The quality was not.
no, it was pretty bad, unfortunately, because it was still funny. I still tweeted it out, like, finally got my trophy from Johannesburg. But then so some other debauchery proceeded. When he pulled the trophy out, like, everyone clapped for Xylis and like cheered and stuff. It was cool.
Mm.
I think he gave like a 2-sentence speech, which was which is cool. It was just very spur of the moment, but very cool. I liked it.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Okay.
And then, there's also a photo of me and Wireless each kissing the trophy from either side. So that's out there. Watch out. But yeah, then he was like, "Okay, does anyone else want a photo with the trophy?" And said, I let him be. But funny.
Just get a full smooch in, so you got the imprint just like on there forever.
You're taking me home with you, Wireless. Congrats. But I got to talk to a lot of people that I hadn't really talked to yet. Trip Tando, someone that I hadn't seen since Gdansk as well. Other people that I'd never met before, Lavender Unicorn, etc., etc. Shiny Hunter Ben, someone that I'd never met before. Finally got to meet him, and
you're saying all these usernames, and I'm just like, yeah, I've seen their username about somewhere along the line. I'm like,
they're around. They're around. But then they ended up going to Bourbon Street, and obviously, on the surface, you would think that that's my scene. Like, obviously, I would go along to Bourbon Street and party and
I don't
party
know
the
much
night
about
away and
Bourbon
hang out.
Street.
Oh, it's like it's I don't know. It's like the party street, I guess.
Oh,
it's
okay,
the late night scene.
Okay, yes.
But I was carrying not only my little like Pokemon Center bag, but more importantly, like my competitor swag bag as well that I had not picked up the day before.
Right.
And so I was carrying these big bags around, and I was like, I can't go out with the bags, so I just have to go back home. And I get home, and like the Aussies had sort of left earlier than me, because and so I got back, and like Jamothy and M had come over, and like they were all playing Smash. That's
fantastic.
Fair enough. So anyway, we played a little bit, but it was a good
Which
time.
character do you choose in Smash?
So here's the thing. I like suck at Smash. Like I've barely ever played it before.
Right.
And so they were sort of teaching me how to play Steve, because they were like, "Oh, he's like the most OP character in the game." And I was like,
okay,
fair enough. And so I sucked at it so bad. I was starting to get the hang of it a little bit, at least knowing what the moves did, and not just instantly. Like, I think my very first game, I literally killed myself 3 times and didn't hit Rick once.
You fell off the platform?
Yeah, well, because like he gets into a minecart and he like auto just like moves forward.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that one.
So I just kept hurling myself off the platform and couldn't figure out how to get out of the minecart, and just died 3 times and didn't hit Rick once. He didn't hit me once. It was disaster. But then we had an even match where I played M. And you could say that our skill levels were similar. And we just played like Jigglypuff versus Kirby. It was just a jump-a-thon. It was awesome.
Yes.
Great match.
Guess how I play?
Similarly, I would guess.
Kirby is always my choice. And it is because it is purely survival. As in, everyone just keep fighting each other, and I'm just above, bloop, 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 and then eventually I'll come down and eat someone, and then just keep floating up again until everyone's like percentages are gone and their lives are gone, and I'm just like, I'm still there. Like, Debbie, come down already. I'm like, no.
Yep.
And then I'll get shot by someone that's like Link or something like that. It just starts shooting at me. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
So that's how I play Smash.
No surprises at all. But yeah, that was Saturday. Sunday, again, it was Championship Sunday. I'd received a message at about 8 p.m. Being like, hey, do you want to do an interview for Unite tomorrow? And I was like, oh heck yeah. Debbie and the Pebbles represent.
Debbie and the Pebbles.
I didn't message back until like midnight, and then I never heard back.
Probably actually, it was like, oh, let me look up Steve and Debbie and the Pebbles, and then it was like, oh, they've never won a match.
I don't know. He knew. Like, he 100% knew.
Seeded.
Yeah, the 4th seed in Oceania. Come on.
Yeah.
But yeah, he literally messaged me like yesterday or the day before, being like, oh, whoops. I really thought I messaged you. My bad.
Busy for them.
Yeah. He apparently forgot to send me a message that was like, this is where I am, come here. He thought he sent it. So I guess like in his mind, he was expecting me to pop up at some point, and I flaked. But,
yeah.
He just never messaged me. So whoopsies. But I rocked up anyway, hung out, watched the Unite stream, which was like, I was like, oh, these guys are actually good. I mean, one of the games was...
Oh my gosh.
So, like, if anyone knows anything about Unite, or if anyone's watched any of our games in Unite, you know that we lose pretty hard, like by 1,000 points sometimes, like at our worst.
Yeah.
In the grand finals, the two best teams at NAIC, in one of these matches, it was 1,231 points to 11. To 11.
Hey, look, I at least try and score when I play, so at least we can get. I would score more than 11.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was. Look, these guys have literally won all 3 ICs, which is insane, and they won 2 of the last 3 World Championships. Like, they're very, very, very good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like,
favorites for sure coming up.
Yep. You're sort of fighting for second.
I think Wade was streaming. Maybe I was streaming. I can't remember. And I remember watching it. I don't know if I was streaming or not at that point, but I remember watching it and being like, what have I just watched? Because this is a final, right? Like, if this was like a Debbie and the Pebbles match, I'm like, yeah, okay. Like, Steve's in New Zealand trying to stream this. Like, I'm like, I don't know which buttons I'm pressing. What do you mean this is the eject button? I've never pressed this before. Like, you know, but this is a like grand final, and I'm just like, oh, we aren't that bad.
Yes, we are.
Maybe this entire time we're actually okay.
No. Incorrect assessment.
No. We got this. We'll go to an IC. Guys, pack your bags. We're going to an IC.
Yeah.
If they can pull out scores like that, we can do it as well.
Do you know how much I would love for us to go to an IC? I wish that we had one that was actually like reasonably priced. I wish.
Yeah.
If anyone wants to sponsor Debbie and the Pebbles to make it to an IC, let us know.
Gosh, all 5 of us. Oh no, we need a spare, don't we? Do we need a spare?
Well, we don't need a spare. We can go with
5 of us. That's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. But
might have to actually get good in the game.
You were just saying that maybe we were.
We were, but like, you know, we just need to practice for next season. It's okay. We've got some downtime. It's all right.
Yeah, that's right. Well, look, I've got a few more Unite contacts that we haven't talked about.
You do? So yes, that's correct.
Maybe we've got the hookup, but
yeah,
I guess.
So leading into Championship Sunday, obviously it all goes down. Last 3 competitors.
Yeah, and look, so it was Padoman, Axon, and Ilum. And whoever won, it was a pretty awesome storyline where like Axon would be the first ever 2-time IC champion. He's sort of like, you know, he had a bit of a lull, but now he's back. He just won Portland. He wins NAIC, and like, you know, he's like on a roll to potentially win Worlds again for a double. You've had Ilum, who has just had like, you know, an absolutely cracker of a run himself. He just won 2 regionals. Winning an IC would potentially put him up for like, you know, the best season of all time, even potentially like beating Marto's run as well, which was impressive in its own right by a country mile. But the consistency factor was pretty crazy. And then you have Padoman, who potentially could win 2 ICs in a row, which would be insane as well. So whoever won, it was going to be a pretty cool storyline. And it's Axon versus Padoman were in the losers finals. Was I've said this like 3 times on stream. I've said it once on the other spot. I've said it everywhere. But I said it to Axon's face at the airport. I will keep saying it. It was not the most skilled set in the world to watch. It wasn't like, oh, this is peak Pokemon Go PvP.
Yeah.
But it was the most awesome set to watch. Because it was like, you know, it might game number 3. So like Axon's up 2-0 in this best of 5 set. And I think it's game number 3 and Axon's about to win the game. And the casters call out, you know, the only win con here is if Padoman gets the 1 in 8 night/boost on this from this Scizor.
Yeah.
And then the boost procs. And it's like, okay, awesome. Like he flips the game. Then game 4. He gets another night/boost in a row. He gets another one. It's like insane. He's able to like push through. He wins the game because of the night/boost that otherwise Axon would win. Now, Axon would go back and he would say like, you know, if like this was a winnable game. Like I played poorly. I did not play to the Knight/boost condition. He would have won if there was no boost, but he had another win con that would have worked if there was a boost, but he didn't.
Yes.
He didn't go for the best possible play.
Right.
So but still, the Knight/boost is sort of what flips it. And then we go to game 5, decisive game 5, and Padaman doesn't get another boost. He gets 2 more Knight/boosts. It is 4 out of 5 Night/slashes in a row getting the 1 in 8 chance of a boost. I mean, it was just ridiculous to watch. Now, luckily for Axon, he was able to, put his hard counter Araquanid into the Greninja, and he was fine. But you could just see him sitting there just laughing away. Like, what in the world is happening right now? It was just so cool to watch. And to be in the crowd environment as well, as we're all going, no way. It was very cool. It was very cool. Probably top 2 being in the crowd moment, only to, the move updates at Worlds last year. That's still the coolest, but this was close second.
I think, just incredible luck for that to happen. And it seems pretty cool. I haven't gone back to watch that particular match yet, but it is on the treadmill list.
It's worth the watch. Even if you're someone that doesn't go back and watch a lot of broadcasts, this is probably it's probably the match of the season to watch. Not from again, it's not the most skilled match, but just from a coolness standpoint.
Yeah.
It's probably one of the coolest matches we've had all season. So I think it's worth the look for sure.
No, it just, it sounds fun, if that makes sense. It's just kind of it's just kind of the how impossible it is, and yet it comes down to chance, and therefore it's just there, and not even a 50-50 or 1 in 8. No, just
again and again and again and again. Just ridiculous. And I am very glad that Axon won. From a standpoint of, it would feels bad, man, if he lost it to Night/boosts at an insane rate. If that's what caused him to lose, that would feel so bad. But I am, it's sort of similar to when someone gets a dispute and then they win anyway. Is it felt like the right thing happened. Is sort of how I feel. But to be honest with you, I mean, people were also asking me beforehand. They were like, who do you think gets this of the top 3? And I said from the get-go, I think Axon's got it. He was just playing so clean. He wasn't making any insane plays. He was just making the smart plays just pretty constantly. It's it was very, I don't want to say clinical, but it was just he was locked in, and there's no other way to really put it. He just knew what he was doing. And again, he could have made better plays. He didn't make the engine move every single time, but he played well enough. It was really cool to watch. But beating Padaman did put him in the grand finals up against Ilum, which again, they sort of had mirror teams, so it was kind of a bit of a crazy set to watch. But
and Ilum was the one that took him down to the losers bracket. So then to play him in the actual finals, that's a story in its own. So that's pretty cool.
And they did it was actually pretty. I mean, Axon just seemed to dominate, to be honest with you. I think he won. Elon might have got the first or second game, but then Axon just swept the rest. It was just there's nothing you could do to stop him. He was just gung ho. You could actually see Elam start to get tilted at one point as well. And so I think, he might have been a little less locked in than he would have liked, whereas Axon just sitting there just go.
I think it's, again, one of those situations, unless you've been in or I imagine anyway, but to try to come back after a bracket reset, I feel if I was in that situation, it'd be very difficult being oh, whoa, we've just evened the field again, where we've just come really confident in a winner's bracket and then had to bracket reset and just start from zero, it feels like. So yeah, I imagine that can be difficult. That's why I give all credit for, especially the Oceania battlers that get up to something ridiculous like game 15.
Happens more than you think.
That's what I'm it does. It's a good chunk in Oceania. A bracket reset, it definitely happens.
Yeah, pretty cool. I mean, not as often recently, to be honest with you,
No.
but we certainly have a lot of them in our history.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's Axon ends up taking it out with Araquanid, a pick only used by 3 battlers in the entire tournament. Apparently, a Doonbug sort of came up with it, and then it like Kim and Axon, they talk a lot, and so I think they both sort of got on the Araquanid train, and it paid dividends, to say the least. There were a lot of teams that didn't love the Araquanid, especially when there were 2 Greninja in the top 4 from Wireless and Pataman. It was pretty good. But yeah, look, Axon, who's able to get his second IC championship, the first person in Pokemon Go to ever do so. And I really liked his speech at the end, where he sort of said, like, last time, like, when I won back in 2022 or 2023, when I won Portland, they asked me, what I wanted. And I said, I've won a regional, I've won an IC. Now all I have to do is win Worlds. And well, I did that. And now I've won 2 regionals. I've won 2 ICs. I guess the only thing left to do is, win 2 Worlds. And it was like, dang.
Yeah. When he said that, I was just like, man, that's so polished. That's so good.
Yeah, I have time to cook this.
Yeah. Such a champion thing to say. I was like, oh, cool.
Someone get that one gif that everyone uses of like the guy riding with fire coming off the page, because it was kind of pretty hard. But also would be remiss to not mention that prior to the grand finals, there was Butters did an interview with friend of Elam, Martu Galde, and Axon's mom, Wiggy Wigs, who was like, she hated it so much, but she did so well. I really it was really cool watching it. Like, she did it was very
funny. I'm like, we've got like Axon's mum, and then we've got Mato.
They sort of had they actually had lined up, if Padaman was in the grand finals, they were gonna get Padaman's dad. But because Padaman's dad, like, I don't know how good he is at English, but they sort of just like he wanted a translator at the very least. And the translator was gonna be Mato. So Mato was gonna be there anyway. It was just whether there was a third person on the interview.
Friend of Ilum.
It really reminds me of Adib, friend of Yakai, at the World Championships, where they tried to find anyone to use for Yakai, and they got Adib. And it was like, all right, you're officially Yakai's bestie. But they had it pre-planned, I guess. It wasn't it wasn't a panic grab at the very least.
Yeah.
But still, I thought it was kind of funny.
Oh, bless.
But yeah, look, she's I think something that is worth highlighting, that's been highlighted as well, is that in the interview, and Axon's got his headphones in, like they're on the stage while they're doing this interview, and Wiggy Wig sort of says, like, Axon was like, he was really thinking about, he had a string of like not great results, and he was really thinking about hanging up at the hat, like, quitting the competitive circuit entirely. And it was just like, it was a little bit like, aww. And then to see him do so well recently, it was just really, it made it extra special, I think. And then even Axon in the winners interview, he said that he repeated the same sentiment, where he was like, I really thought I was gonna hang it up. But really, really glad that he didn't, because
what a story.
Yeah, very, very heartwarming. And also Wiggy Wigs, because I think we chatted twice. We chatted once sort of like soon after, and then once at the airport. And like, she's such a supportive human being. I love her so much. She's she also mentioned that she listens to the G'day Battles podcast. So hi, Wiggy.
Hi.
Hope you're well. We love you. But yeah, she's so nice. Honestly, most supportive mum out there in the Pokemon Go community, for sure.
Absolutely. Very, very well known for being like the most supportive mum. And I think if anything were to be, she's got like a whole bunch of people that are like fans of her. So I don't think any ill word would be even said against Wiggy Wigs. There'll be a whole army against you, because like she's just like, again, so supportive. And Axon's lovely on its own, but just having like his mum there, and I'm just like, oh, this is where he gets it from. Like, it makes sense. And it's just kind of like the way he, because like there's a lot of I suppose a lot of ego that comes to play when it comes to like gaming and things in that circle. And it's really nice to have someone like Axon that has been a world champion, um, and everyone to look up to, of such a nice person and how he addresses things and how he goes about things. And I think that is such great leadership skills, and also leading on for the future generation to kind of have that as an example. And it all kind of like, it all makes sense, and it kind of all hones in on, like, you know, the family dynamic. And I loved it in when I first met Wiggy Wigs in Yokohama, and like the whole family was there, like mum, dad, sister, and everything. And I'm just like, they all came to Japan for him, and like this was, it was really really cute. I quite like the whole experience and seeing them as a family and celebrating together. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, look, Axon has been raised very well, and we are very lucky to have him, and very lucky to have WikiWigs, obviously. But you know, I think WikiWigs could even command a bigger army than Axon if he tried. So she's got the real support squad. So appreciate it muchly. And
it
I
just
look forward to
means
seeing
Axon's
them.
on retirement land yet. None of this retirement talk.
No, and I think it also gives him a little bit more resilience as well for a bit of a bounce back. Like, you know, even in the future, if he were to have another string of bad results, like he knows that he can come out of that as well. And like, I mean, I guess spoiler territory out of order, but you know, I ran into him at the New Orleans airport. We're on the same flight to Houston, and I sort of asked, like, you know, what changed? Like, why? You know, what do you credit to this sort of, like, I guess, bounce back? And he said that he really just, like, it was just an attitude adjustment. And I think that maybe he was really, you know, putting a lot of pressure on himself, I guess, in the past, and, you know, trying to think what is, like, really logic out, what is the best play I can make, and, you know, even ignore his intuition sometimes and just like try and play it safe. And so he sort of just said, like, you know, like here and in Portland, he just trusts his gut a little bit more, and if he like believes that something's going to happen, he'll trust that. And I think that's it feels obvious in hindsight, but like when you are such a strong battler, like you really do hone that skill of sort of having a feeling for what's going on. And so the fact is that if that's all he's done, he's just trusted his gut more. He's got a crazy good gut. That's a world champion gut right there.
Yeah. You can't, like, what do you do, like, as a other player, being like, okay, I got to trust my gut. Is my gut good enough? I don't know if it's good enough. Maybe I need to do more crunches. I don't know.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, very cool to see him win. Very deserving champion, and I look forward to seeing his run at Worlds.
Not too long now.
I've got like a 1 in 250 chance of like facing him first round. So I would love to be the first little, you know, kick stop to kick out of the way. I would be honored. We'll see.
Let's just warm him up. It's all good.
Yeah, just like Tristan, I'll be a warm-up round. I'll get you ready to go.
He didn't pair against Tristan, but that might be a possibility as well.
That's also true. But yeah, and Tristan did incredibly well as well. Like he got all the, like, he was sort of telling me on day one, he was like, oh, you know, I needed to do so well to actually qualify for Worlds off this tournament. Like you needed to get top 16 at least to qualify for Worlds. And he was like, nah, it's not happening. And then he performs, he wins, and he wins, and he wins, and he wins, and he's into day 2, and he's like, hold, and then he wins, and all of a sudden, the man's qualified for Worlds when he really thought he was down for the count. And it's and you know, incredible. He felt all the way to top 6 as well, which, you know, at NAIC is
I thought he meant leaderboard. Like, whoa, did he do that?
Not that way. Like he's not that far above the like qualifying line. Like he needed top 16.
Right. Okay.
So it was like just a really cool story in its own right. Like, you know, and I guess I obviously despise in many ways the new qualification system as opposed to the reach the bar. I made that very clear when it was announced, and I'll make it very clear now. I really dislike the fact that for one person to win, one person has to lose. Nature. In that regard, you know, if someone qualifies, that directly means that someone else isn't qualifying. And so when that system does sort of, I guess, introduce these sort of scenarios that are very cool to see play out, which I think is Pokemon's aim in some sense. Obviously, their main aim, they sort of had an interview with Chris Brown that their main aim is like knowing the number of world qualifiers from the get-go. And that makes sense as the main aim. We speculated that was the main aim, but just wish it was done differently somehow. But on top of that, it does create sort of exciting storylines like this, which when most of the point of the championship series is storyline generation, it sort of feels like it's serving the right purpose, which again, I kind of wish it didn't. But, you know.
Yeah, but look, it because of this, it's taken you to Durban and Johannesburg.
Hey, I would have qualified anyway. If they could have set the bar at 500, 600, 700 CP, I would still qualify the same way. It just wouldn't mean, yoinking an invite from USAID. It would have been just qualifying myself. So, I don't think it changes anything in my view, at least. But
that's all right. USAID will get his revenge on taking home turf in Auckland in January.
Yeah, that's right. Other than that, I mean, like, other than the Aussies doing very well, I mean, that was largely the actual tournament itself. They did announce bottle caps, which I don't know if you want to talk about it much. I mean, I think most people
look, if you've got $30 to spare this weekend, then sure, if you want to do Go Fest and get, because it's only valid for the week. And you got a bottle cap pretty much practically straight away. So if you got something that you want to max out and it's like your absolute favorite Pokemon or mythical and you want to spend like $30 Australian on it, go for it. I'm actually not buying it. I thought about it initially. I'm like, oh yeah. And then I looked at the price and I looked at like, what am I really doing? Do I really want to buy a bottle cap, spend $30 to max out a Ditto shiny? I think it would be pretty cool, but I'm also kind of like, So yeah, I'm giving that one a miss, which I kind of didn't expect. I thought I'd actually buy it. But I like when I was actually at the point of like purchasing, I was like, nah, I'm okay with this.
Yeah, I am inclined to agree with you that, like, I was shocked. I just saw the price. Like, I knew it was $20 US, but like when I opened the app and like I scrolled and I was like, what is this? Like $31 Australian? Like, and then this other one was like 39, and I was like, holy smokers! When did like we have purchases that were so big in the app? This is crazy. And so like there was just like no universe that I'm going to spend that much.
It's more expensive than the Go Fest ticket.
Yeah. Look,
and you'll get more out of the Go Fest ticket than you would with that line and just having a bottle cap.
Yeah, I think now obviously like no shame to anyone that wants it. If you've got a Pokemon that you specifically want to be good, or you've got a mythical that there's no other way to really improve, then like go for it. Especially if you're a Master League player. I mean, Master League players are like the most justifiable place to use bottle caps in a world where they have to spend a ton of money on raid passes anyway. Like for a lot of people, a bottle cap is going to be like a money saving compared to how many raid passes that they usually spend. So like I think it's the easiest to justify path for most out of them all.
Yes.
But yeah, $31 is just a little too much.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. I think because bottle caps aren't new, well, they're new to Go, but they're not new to Pokemon in general. So golden bottle caps lets you max out everything, so you can get like a 100% IV Pokemon. What I'm kind of waiting for is like, hey, they released golden, does that mean silver is around the corner? Because silver bottle cap will let you max out one stat, and I think that will be more important for a PvP player to have that available to max out HP or defense, and might just have that extra bulk point down the track. So it feels just very wasted to buy it for a PvP Pokemon with a golden bottle cap for anything Great League or even Ultra League. A Master League, go ahead, like, makes sense.
Now, on the one hand, like, maybe you're right. On the other hand, we don't know how that release is going to go. So like if every bottle cap sort of gets you one extra Pokemon, right? So to some people that's going to be worth it. So, to each their own, make your own judgments. No shame. Yeah. Pretty much. But yeah, that was the sort of end of Go announcement. But then there was the closing ceremony, and there'd sort of been a rumor like, oh yeah, like keep an eye out for the closing ceremony. I was like, all right, like,
yeah.
And the obvious assumption. It was like, well, look, at the very least, we'll get like the announcement of next year's NAIC, or we'll get any details about the new season. And so we're sitting there, we're watching all the way through TCG, which apparently every finals of TCG, they went to time and they went to the extra rounds and they went all the way through, like all of them. And then VGC, they all go like, pretty long. It's actually and Go ran long because there were a few disputes, and there are also so many games. Unite ran long, the opening ran long, the whole day was running behind, and it actually was running so far behind that the 2 Italian players in the VG Masters division, which is usually the final event of the day, like it's it's the final thing before the closing ceremony, they had to move that to the start of VGC so that they could play and then get their flight. And so they left before the trophies were awarded. They just had to bolt out of there, which was so funny.
Because, I was wondering why they didn't play last. So that's a bit reason, and look, it totally makes sense. Like they're both Italian. Like that. Like, do you want to pay for my delayed flight? Like, do you want to pay?
I mean, they were earning a lot from the tournament, to be fair, like a lot. They earned way more than Go, but still, it was like we were sort of worried because we knew that it was all running really behind. We were concerned that it meant that they'd cut juniors and seniors off from stream, and we were like, no, that's so unfair.
No, I don't think they would have done that, especially the juniors, like TCG final.
Oh no, they played all TCG. It was just the VG.
VG, right.
But yeah, it felt very possible on our end, especially if they want to clear us out before 8 p.m. It was like, well, they're gonna have to make a cut somewhere. Again, we knew that Masters is always like the premier final event, so like surely not. But no, they did go back. Like they didn't explain it best that we could hear. Maybe they did. We just didn't hear it. But still, it was cool to watch and whatnot. I mean, I understood what was going on in TCG. I didn't really know what was going on most of VGC. It's like I watched a few videos. That's about it.
Yeah, I don't know too much about VG, but I love the crowd reactions every time VG is on, because it seems like something like theatrical just happened. Everyone's like, "Oh!" And I'm just like, I have no idea what happened, but the guy just terrestrialized.
Yeah, there was one bit that was very easy to understand where one of the guys got a crit, and it clearly shifted the game pretty dramatically. So it's like, I see. Like, I could probably follow around like 30%. It's just based on the school of Wolfie Glick.
Yeah.
That's it.
Like, okay, cool. Oh, fake out.
I see.
I know that one.
Predicted. Okay, all right. But no real clue. But we did go out and get like there was a like tiny little social, like there might have been like 15 people that went out and got sandwiches.
Steve, you're missing out on the most important part of the closing ceremony, the release of.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay, so we wait all this time. We sit there. We're just watching and waiting through all of these finals for this announcement that's going to happen in the closing ceremony. It's time. Closing ceremony. All eyes on the screen.
Yeah.
It's the competitor backpack for Worlds. And then the screen's over. That's
Pikachu
it.
with the Letterman jacket. You get the bag. You get the goods. You get the hat. You get the lunch bag.
Like, yeah, I know. Well, this was. What are we sure? That was the closing ceremony. I mean, we were all disappointed. We were all like, "What the heck was that?
Yep.
What a waste of time!" It's like happy that like you could have saved that announcement for another time, man. I mean, most people in the venue, like it's irrelevant to them. Most people in the venue are not qualified for Worlds, so it's like, oh, see all this stuff that you're not going to get, losers. I mean, like, what are we doing? I just don't. I don't know, man. It felt like an odd call to me. Obviously, like now they've come out with the announcements that I thought would come out during the IC. They even had like a video trailer for the IC. So I was like, surely. I mean, right?
Yeah, maybe that's something to get signed off the last minute, but yeah.
I don't know. But
hey, look. I was like, I think it was at ridiculous o'clock Perth time when that all happened. However, by the time I woke up, it meant that when you had the whole because the video actually led to a link for the Worlds page. So the Pokemon Worlds coming up in Anaheim. And whose faces do we see on the Worlds? The Pokemon World website.
Oh, yeah.
So if you haven't clicked on it, haven't seen it yourself, if you go onto the Pokemon World's website come for Anaheim, not only would you see my face, but you'll see Steve's face on there as notable trainers coming into Anaheim, which I was like, this is cool. I'm on the same page with some of these people that are very well known in the YouTube and like streaming community. I'm like, wow, it's me.
Yeah, it's very cool. But I was like, oh. Notable trainer, hey? About that. So I did message Big Pikachu. Now I did like I sort of pre-warned Big Pikachu. Like after I sort of got a lot of points, I was like, hey, just FYI, like I might qualify for Worlds. And they're like, all right, just let me know. And I was like, all right, well, look, I can confirm it hard NAIC. I was like, okay, sounds good. And I wanted to wait till NAIC because, to be honest with you, it seemed very safe. Yes. If everyone that we knew were going to NAIC got 1 million points at NAIC, I would still be qualified.
Yeah.
The reason that I didn't want to hard confirm it was just in case we had some, not that anyone would ever do this, but someone keeping it a secret that they would attend a tournament, grab some points and then, yoink up the leaderboard. And all of a sudden I'd be sitting there without a Worlds invite and without a creator pass and just like, whoops, I've messed up. So like just to play it completely safe,
that's fair.
Because Big Pikachu was cool with it, I waited until the end of NAIC day 1. And so after day 1 was finished, I was like, okay, we're good. Sorry, Big Pikachu, I will have to revoke my creator pass because I'm sure we've said it before, but if this is like the first episode you're listening to, or if you haven't listened since I said that or some other time, you're not allowed to hold a creator pass and a competitor pass at the same time.
Correct.
I will no longer be attending as a creator. I actually also Big Pikachu did send me an email to be like, sorry, man, your creator pass has been declined. And I went, oh, yeah.
It was a bit harsh.
It was like, ouch.
We hate you.
Sorry. I did still end up on the website. So thank you. But also, it's very cool. But bye.
It is very cool. I think that it's yourself, myself, and Landor Alpha, the only Go creators on there. And I'm just like, where are the other Go creators at? But yeah, it's still pretty cool. Maybe they'll get added in the future.
Is that a legitimate question? Because I do have the answer to that.
I think I know the answer to that as well.
Okay.
That's fine. Okay. But my point is, it's still pretty cool. But yeah, that was the end of NAIC. So that's all wrapped up. Then you had some other socials. It's quite late by that point.
Yeah, I mean, we were there like again 8 p.m. sort of vibe. Like 8:30, we didn't know what dinner plans were, and so we sort of had this amalgamation of it was mostly the Aussies. Hurricane Kaz was there, and one of her friends Sushi was there.
Sushi was right.
And I think I want to say Vala Benito was with us as well. We ended up with Ashton Ash. He'd sort of we'd already said our goodbyes like twice. But then he was like, we were sort of still around. And so he was like, oh, I mean, like, I can hang out with you guys. Like, you head all the way back to Australia tomorrow. Like we can hang. And so we were really trying to figure out where to go for dinner. And he was like, oh, this is the Italian place I went last night. We could go there. It's like literally across the road. And we were like, you were just there last night. Do you want to go? And he was like, yeah, it's cool, man. He's a chill guy. So, we sort of bolted slightly through the rain. We were with and Tristan had to sort of like hide his swag in like partially into Ramberto's bag, and then I think we sort of had this like motley crew. It was, we had to hide the swag into bags so we could get through the rain. And so we rock into Italian. Unfortunately, there wasn't really anything on the menu item. Well, the only thing I tried to order was cannoli. Unfortunately for me, as I found out a little bit later, they were all out of cannoli. What a disaster. Worst day of my life. 8:30 p.m. I've barely eaten anything. What am I supposed to do? And so I was like, oh. And they're sort of like, do you want anything at all? And I was just like, nah. I guess not. I guess I'll just be hungry for a bit, and then maybe I'll Uber eat something later.
Oh my
But
heart.
then,
Yep.
then I sort of get nudged, and then like the next time she comes around, it's like, oh, can I just get a plain bowl of spaghetti? And it's like, all right, fine. And it's like, all right, whatever. And like, it's not a big bowl of spaghetti, but it's at least food. It's sustenance. I can eat it.
Yeah.
All well and good, and we have a good night. Chatting, having a good time. And then the bill comes out, and I didn't really realize this at the time because you have to factor in tax, which isn't included on the receipt. What a nightmare!
Yes,
And
tax
gratuity and all, and the conversion of the dollar. For my plain bowl of spaghetti, not a big bowl, just pretty modest bowl of spaghetti.
Yeah.
I paid 35 Australian dollars.
Okay.
Yep.
What is wrong with you, America?
Yep. That's pretty insane. I could have got a gold bottle cap for that.
You could have got a gold bottle cap. You would have got a Shundo, Milowetta right now instead.
I got a mediocre bowl of a modest portion size of spaghetti.
Yeah, with no sauce.
So, yeah.
I have to go to America twice. Anaheim, and then so many problems.
Yeah. Look, McDonald's won't steer me wrong.
McDonald's, at least you don't have to pay gratuity.
And the portion sizes are good.
Okay, noted. I already have made on Google Maps and just noting down fast food restaurants from our accommodation to the convention center.
It was actually, there were not a lot of fast food options I recognized in New Orleans, at all. I didn't see a single McDonald's. I didn't see a single KFC. The airport, even LAX, at the terminal I was in, there was no sort of mainstay fast food recognized that we would know. It was kind of interesting, to be honest with you. But yeah, New Orleans, it was notable. One guy was like, "Oh, I saw a KFC." And I was like, "Oh, a KFC." Yeah, one. Okay, kind of crazy. So I don't know if US just has more options, and I didn't know what those options were when I saw them, or if we really were just in a fast food dead zone for what we recognize. I don't know. I have no clue. Maybe they were just around one corner that I didn't turn, but
yeah,
kind of crazy at the very least. I never tried to Uber Eats or anything, so I don't know. But yeah.
Oh, well, that can be an option for Anaheim. Well, Anaheim, there's so many things around, so it should be fine. But yeah. Oh yeah. Maybe your next NAIC trip, you will be more organized.
Come on.
You say, okay, note this down. Wade, I know you're listening. Note this down. 24th of June.
Yeah. I, PvP Steve, hereby declare that I have no intent to attend the North America International Championships 2026.
We'll see. Come back in a year's time. We'll find out.
Right. We'll see.
Next thing you know, unite, let's go.
Okay, now that would be sick. Not gonna lie.
Get the band together.
Put me on the Daybreak alternate roster.
That'd be pretty funny. They should just do that.
I wish there was someone willing to put me on the on the slot. That would be pretty cool. I mean, they've got to factor in player count into worlds and stuff, right? So again, with the number of players carrying over, they want some wiggle room, I think. So they probably don't want to waste one on old PvP Steven over here. But
yeah, wishy.
Wishy. But anyway. Nice to see everyone. I think Ash and Ash was the fresh one that got the scare about my dietary habits. Even though we've eaten before, we ate together at LAIC. I managed to hide it well back then, but
the Outback place,
Steakhouse,
the Australian food.
Yeah. Yep. Which not Australian food at all. And I mean, I don't know. I still don't know what Outback sauce is, or Outback sauce.
Barbecue.
Or I don't know what it was, but. Wasn't something I knew at the very least. But yeah, that was sort of the, as far as the tournament was concerned, the NAIC experience. Except the important shout out to Kira.
Oh yes,
Claire's daughter.
Yes.
Who had previously like organized to hook us all up with friendship bracelets for the competition, which just saying are sick as, like, they're awesome. It's so cool. It's like she asked, like, what our favorite colors were or what colors we wanted, and so I was like, oh yeah, purple sick, and like, it says PvP Steve along it. I was like, it was legitimately my favorite, like, I guess clothing item is fair enough to call it, but like I loved having this on all weekend and like all week. I wore it like through the plane, through the airport. Like I just kept wearing it because I just, as you're well aware, Debbie, and like I don't know how much it comes on camera, because generally when I'm like doing something with the microphone, I try and stay like I don't try and move as much to like not knock things or like make noises, because the chair is very creaky.
Mine's creaky as well.
Yeah, but I'm a super fidgeter, and so like I'm always moving. Like even if you don't see me moving on camera, like my legs are moving at a million miles an hour, or my hands are like tapping something or wiggling with something. There's constant movement, and having this to just like do this action like for 6 days straight was awesome. I really liked it, and it was sort of on this trip, like I remember looking at a guy like wearing, like an American guy, obviously wearing this like gaudy American cowboy hat, and I was like, and the first thought that went through my head was like, how do people decide to just wear a cowboy hat? Like that's a crazy call. And then I was like, I guess you can just decide to be a hat guy, I guess, and that just locks you in. And then I saw someone that like dresses like I do, with t-shirts and cargo shorts, like slightly long socks and shoes, and I saw him wearing a hat, like again sort of a larger hat, and I was like, yeah, nah. That doesn't work. It doesn't work. But then like on the same like thought line, I was like, I guess you can just be a bracelet guy, I guess. Like I can just wear this. And so I was kind of like, maybe I do just wear this, to be honest with you, because I kind of like it. It just needs to survive to Worlds.
I didn't expect that, because you usually don't like extra things on you if not necessary. But not this kind of like is a bit of a surprise.
Yeah.
Because I think I've asked you before, going, oh, would you wear a watch or would you wear like something? And you're like, nah, that's like, nah, I wouldn't do it, like kind of thing. But if it's like, very tailored for your tastes and also adds the benefit of fidgeting, then suddenly we're on a roll.
I don't know. I think it's just like, it's a nice level of loose in that, like, it's sort of I feel like it's gotten looser. I don't know. Maybe I've lost weight.
It will get looser over time if you keep playing with it, but that's easy to replace. That's in like, if it gets to a point where it gets really like, you might have to double tie it over, you just get another piece of string and just restring it. It's not too difficult.
I see. I think we might have hit that point, perhaps. Maybe I overused it. But
maybe we need to let Claire know to bring the kit when you're in Anaheim. Just to retie it.
I don't want to cause extra work, but yeah.
I don't think it'll be extra work for Kira. I think she'll love it.
Perhaps, but yeah. Anyway, I think it was just loose enough, and it just sat well. Easy to roll around. But anyway,
and now you can go to like a Taylor Swift concert and you'd be like fit right in.
Yep, it's pretty cool. And so like, we had like, there's a photo on Twitter of like all of the Aussies with their like, hands in a circle. Adam's unfortunately, well, first of all, it's Adam's fault. Let's make this very clear. He did not raise his hand quick enough.
I don't even know what the case is, but I agree.
No. Yep. I knew you would. But yeah, he didn't raise his hands up quick enough. But then even to make up for that, Claire was like, no, I can sort this. And so she had it express shipped to my place so that I could bring it along. And unfortunately, it sounds like the post office actually messed up. And despite it being paid for express, it was not sent express. And so it arrived at my place one day too late, just after I'd left. So unfortunately, Adam's going to have to wait for his until Worlds. It's just on my bedside table.
I just kind of expected that you would just like roll up your other sleeve and it's right here.
Nah, I left it in the bag. I haven't opened. It could be broken for all I know. I haven't looked. I've left it in.
If you need an elastic.
Oh.
Oh, Adam, yours is broken. Sorry, dude.
Oh, it's so loose, man. Yours is crazy. Sorry.
I don't know what happened.
Yeah, no. It was a nice little touch. I was a big fan of it. So shout out Kira. You're a legend.
Yeah. No, it's very cute. I think after Claire had one during Honolulu, and then that got passed on to Rick Flareon, and then Rick Flareon took on its accent and then won. It's definitely got a bit of a lore to it now. So very, very happy to see the friendship bracelets being embraced. And sounds like everyone was very happy. I laughed at the requests that people asked for, because Claire then told me, going, oh yeah, like this player asked for more stars.
I'll say, like, 100% legitimately, like, Claire posted a few of the, like, proper shots of the full thing on Twitter.
Yeah.
I actually think mine's the coolest. No, so I'm not gonna lie. I think it's actually the best.
It's a good color combo.
It's not only a good color combo, but even just like I just to like out of curiosity, I was like, why is it the best? And I was watching, and I was sort of like counting the patterns and like the choice of like which stars were used compared to the stars that were used on other ones, and I was like, no, this is actually even if all colors are the same, I actually think it's the best one. So I think Kira's the goat. She knows what's up.
Yep.
Shout out Kira. But yeah. Anyway, catch these at Worlds for sure, because they're awesome. If I haven't broken it beforehand, which I'll be honest, I'm a little worried.
Yeah. We've got to bring the kit. Yeah, it's all
but
right.
I like it. I want to keep wearing it.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that. I think you've already had a chat with Claire about it, right? So there might be a spare in Anaheim.
We'll see. But anyway, that's sort of the Sunday experience. I ended up staying with Hurricane Kaz Sushi. They had an Airbnb separate because the Aussies were sort of heading off on the Sunday. So I stayed with them. And then Monday I end up going with Butters and his wife. We get beignets.
Also, he finally got his beignets.
Yeah. He got his beignets, and they were. I mean, like, and like also Butters, like he shouted, which was very kind. He didn't have to. It was also cash only, which is a bit of a surprise. But anyway, he like was like, let's just order like 2 each, and then like he eats one, and he's like, oh, we're gonna need more.
I love that.
So we go through quite a few beignets. It was a nice. I had a really good time spending time with them. I got to spend a little bit of time with them back at LAIC, where we went to a museum with them, Lundberger, and it was just nice, just hanging out. We went and explored a little bit, not too much. We probably got like maybe an hour of exploring in, probably less actually. We went to a sandwich shop because they wanted to get some sandwiches that they liked. And it's like, just had a nice time. So I was very appreciative of Butters making some plans and inviting me along, because he didn't have to. He could have just gone and had a nice time with his wife, but he was like, no, I like spending time with people. And it's like, oh, what a sweetie.
That is very nice. And I think it's also nice when the casters are free, because it's awesome to see them when they are doing, brilliant things on the broadcast. But it's kind of like you don't really get any like lead up time leading into it, because they're probably just in prep mode, don't want to talk to people too much. They're just like, need to reserve their energy for the broadcast. So once it's all wrapped up, it's just kind of like, oh, they can actually relax and just chill out and not have to rush to the next thing in case they get cold or in case they, need to be brought in for some production stuff. So yeah, it is nice for them to actually enjoy like the post-event like relaxation part.
Yeah, for sure. And I did ask Butters, I was like, how often does your wife sort of like get to tag along, and like, do you actually enjoy the cities that you're in? And he sort of said like at the start, like not at all, but like only the very large stuff. But recently, like they've sort of like done a little bit more together, and just like try to take the time afterwards to enjoy themselves a little bit and just explore and have a good time. And I think that's really nice. But you are right that it is like the casters are obviously very busy. Like I barely I had a few chats with like the casters of this event while they were free, but like that was actually sort of one thing that was kind of nice in like people that are usually very busy at these events, like Speediest Chief and Tomahawk UK. They were competing, they weren't casting. So like we actually had a little bit more hangout time than where you might otherwise. So like like Speedy was we went to the sandwich place and hung out, and we had a few chats outside of that. It was like it is rare that the casters have that much free time. I do hope that they enjoy it as well, because I don't know. like I know how our experience is when we cast the Oceanic regionals, but I know
Mhm.
that's a very different experience to the
Yes.
official broadcasts. But
Yeah.
I don't know how much time that they feel like I don't know if they feel like they're missing out or I don't know.
I think having that extra time afterwards just to like basically like decompress
Mm.
is important, and also have some of their own time. So yeah, I think it's really nice. And again, like, you were around. He's not gonna see you very often except for every IC, just
Catch me at South Africa.
oh
But
gosh.
but yeah, look, this would actually be where this podcast. I mean, we've been going on for 2 hours. We've been going for a long time, but
Yeah.
we would be at sort of the wrap up point
Mm-hmm.
if this were, a normal trip. Like the tournament's over, we've had a little bit of
Mm-hmm.
extra fun. We got to hang out with a few extra people, hung
Yeah.
out with Kaz a little bit more. Got an Uber to the airport with Adam and Carmen.
I realize this is where this is leading to. That's why I'm laughing.
It's like, oh, what else? What more could there possibly be to say? And maybe you think that it's the positive bits because we get to the airport and I've got a flight to Houston. It's me and we try what do we try? Carl's Jr. No, we have Carl's. I don't know. We tried something else some
Yeah,
fast
you
food.
used your credits. Yeah. Oh no, that was
No, no,
later.
no, 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 no. Yeah, I didn't have those yet.
Mm-mm.
I don't know what it was, but we tried some other fast food.
Mm.
And we're eating away, and then Adam, when he comes back, he's like, oh, I thought I saw like Accent and his mum over there somewhere. And I was like, oh, look, I've got a little bit of time. I might just do a lap and say hello. Why not? And I stand up and I go to, like, I'm about to do a lap, but before I take a single step, I just stare in front of me and I'm like, wait, that's Ashton Ash.
Can't escape the guy.
I was like, of all the people I could have run into, this guy. And so, I go like, hey, and we have a chat after, again, already saying like goodbye like 3 times.
Yeah, that's just at this point. You're just like, hey again.
Yo. So we have a good chat. But then, like, as we're chatting, this third person says like, oh, hang on, are those voices that I recognize? And he gets up and he turns around. It's Ramberto. 3 guys that all had Italian the night before. It's kind of just a ridiculous little scenario. I really liked it. It was nice. So we, all just had a bit of a chat, not about Pokemon at all. We were just, learned a little bit more about Ash and Ash's past. It was just a nice chat between the 3 of us. Again, like, we were sort of standing at my gate. Like, by coincidence, these 2 guys were both sitting at my gate because I think they were going to get like the next flight that was going to leave from that gate. But I was sort of eyeing it up and I was like, I should be boarding now. I'm not sure what's going on. And so I kept like refreshing the little thing on my phone, the little ticket, and I was like, it's still saying here. It's like, all right, like, I was supposed to be boarding like 10 minutes ago. I don't know what's going on. Until, like, we're still chatting, and then I refresh another time and it says that my gate's changed, and I'm like, oh no. If boarding's like already like come, like, I might miss this. Like, this could be a massive disaster. The screen still says that I'm supposed to be at this gate, but so I'm sort of in like, not panic mode, but I'm like, I have to go now. And so, like, I'm like, good to see you, bye. Run back to Adam and Carmen where I've left my bag, and I'm like, oh, a gate changed, bye. And so I run to this gate. As I'm running, I see Axon walk past me going to the bathroom, and I was like, hey, sorry, I might miss my flight. Bye.
Yeah.
Run to the gate, and I get there, and it's like the gate says a different flight, and I'm like, what is going on? I don't know. So I go up and ask the guys at the desk, and I'm like, what's the go? And they were like, oh yeah, the screens are wrong. You should be here. I was like, okay. Are we boarding soon? And like, we're a bit delayed. I was like, okay, how delayed? Because I don't have a massive layover from Houston to my flight to LAX. Like, I'd like, I don't know, 2 hours, something like that. I was like, I don't know, maybe another 40 minutes. I was like, oh, okay. It's going to get a little bit tight, but we should be okay, I think.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, all right, well, I guess we're chilling. And then, like, another guy sort of comes up and asks, like, what were you asking about? Were you asking about this? And I went, yep. And he went, yep. Okay, cool. And so, this this guy DC. And so I was like, all right, fair enough. We're chilling. And then Axon comes back, and I'm like, oh, he's on this flight. Hey, there's Wiggy Wigs. and so I found him eventually. I didn't have to do my lap. I just, we had to be on the same plane. So, I have a chat to them, and it's a nice chat. Again, they're both such lovely human beings. I really do. I like them quite a lot. So we have a nice chat. I get into line with them, even though they're in priority group 2. I'm in priority group 4, but I'm just like, I'll just stay and chat.
Yeah.
They can get rid of me on the plane.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, by this time, it's gotten to the point where there's only 12 minutes between when we're supposed to get there and when my plane is when boarding closes.
Yes.
And so I asked the staff again. I'm like, hey, am I gonna are we in trouble here? And they were like, okay, well, luckily, we're gonna land at gate C44. You take off from gate C45, so we're probably all good. And I was like, all right. And I think Axon and Wiggy Wigs, their flight was they had sort of a very small window as well, but I think they had a bigger window. They ended up getting home okay. But I'm like, all right. And so we get on the plane, extra little delay. It's like, oh, okay. We might still be okay. It's the next gate over. We get to Houston Airport. I watched, I don't know, some movie on the plane. And then we sit in the tarmac, and they're like, yeah, there's a plane in our gate, so we're just gonna chill here. And I'm sitting there like, no, this isn't good. And so lo and behold, by the time we get into the gate, it's 15 minutes past when I was supposed to board. And so I'm like, disaster. And so I sort of waddle over to the gate, and they're like, oh, so it turns out the crew hasn't actually got the crew for this flight is also on a delayed flight. So we can actually get you on this plane. It's like, okay, fine. But it was taking them there were 20 people in line because there were a bunch of delayed flights. There was some bad weather in the south, and they were putting us on one by one, 5 minutes by 5 minutes by 5 minutes. I don't know why it took them so long, but it did. They were clearly overriding something to get us on the plane. They'd already closed the door. They had to reopen it every time. Eventually the crew arrived. They got us all into the plane, but by that point, we just delayed the problem one flight further, and I was going to miss my plane from LAX to Sydney. So I get onto this plane. The guy that was talking to me before, DC, he's also on this plane. He was flying from LAX to Melbourne, but while we're in this lineup, he sort of like, I we have a bit of time to chat. And I was like, oh, so what did you play? And he was like, Unite. And I went, wait, an Australian guy that plays Unite. Well, there was only one Australian team that played Unite at NAIC, so I'm going to assume that this guy is from Daybreak, the sort of number one team that did crush us in February in the Unite tournament. So I'm like, oh, dude, Debbie and the Pebbles. He just kind of goes like, oh.
I'm stuck with this guy on this flight.
Dude, he was sort of telling me like, oh yeah, we saw all the videos. And I was like,
protect the president.
Pretty funny. I thought it was hilarious actually. But we get on this plane, and we're like, look, we'll see you on the other side. We're both missing our plane to Australia. And so we get to the other side. We've missed our flight. It's like whatever. The airline gives us hotel, meal tickets, etc. And it's going to be a 24-hour delay. It's like 10:30 p.m. in LAX. So it's like, you're going to have a flight tomorrow at 10 p.m. It's like, all right, that's fine, whatever. And so me and this guy, he's sort of like, oh, do you just want to pick the same hotel? I was like, yep, sounds good. And then he said, oh, two of my, the other Daybreak guys from my Unite team also did not get on their flight. Now, notably, I said, did not get on their flight as opposed to they were delayed or flight cancelled because they were a little bit silly and they got misdirected, I suppose. They mistakenly thought that they had to leave security to collect their luggage and then go back through security to get on their flight. They did not have to do this. Their luggage was getting auto carried along. Whether they asked someone and they sort of misconstrued or they misunderstood something, I don't know. But they stood at that carousel for a little bit too long. And by the time they got back through security, they had missed their flight by about 5 minutes. So in the end, like they rebooked their flight, but they didn't get like a hotel voucher or whatnot. So they ended up sleeping on the floor of this other guy in his room. But then the four of us were all in LAX and in LA for an extra day, and we were like, well, In-N-Out Burger breakfast. It's like, all right. So, we got brekkie. We just chatted away. Again, these guys were like, yeah, we've seen the videos. To be honest, like one of them, Anon, he actually like quoted one of the videos. I was like, oh. It was pretty funny.
What was the quote?
It was like the intro to the very first one where we came top 8. And he was like, something like you just said, like, surely, like, you might think like, oh, if you got top 8, what were there, like 8 teams or something? he just quoted the line. I was like, it's pretty funny actually. We walked from the hotel, we got to In-N-Out, we had a day. DC actually, like, he was clearly like, absolutely zonked out. And so he just went to the airport and left us behind. It's like, all right. So me and the other two guys, Anon and Joe, we just decided, well, we're going to hang out for the day in LA. So we like went and explored the shopping centers. We found out that like every store in the US sells alcohol, from the shopping centers to the pharmacies to like literally like to Target. They all sell alcohol. I don't know what that's about. I don't know what that says about the US, but to be clear, to like everyone else that's watching this podcast from like not Australia, that is not normal. that's not a normal thing.
No. Alcohol is very much restricted to liquor stores, and that's it.
Yeah, where they're sold. That's the spot. You don't go to the grocery store or the pharmacy. The pharmacy was the most boggling one, I thought. It was like, are we sure? Like, does Dad really have to get his medicine? Is like, what are we?
Just make me a hot toddy. That's how you make one.
Oh dear, it was odd. That's for sure. But the pharmacy also had like Dippin' Dots and like they had all sorts of stuff. It felt like no matter what the store said on the front, they sold a million different things on the inside. It was kind of crazy. Right, so we had a great time exploring the stores, to be honest. It felt like such a boring, like the fact that we went to the pharmacy for fun and actually had fun browsing was ridiculous. I mean, they were also selling like, water pistols and like the amount of stuff they had was truly ridiculous.
It's very much like, I've got a small business license, therefore I'm just going to sell whatever I can.
Yeah, apparently. So, look, I bought some deodorant because I needed some back home anyway. So I was like, hey, it's actually a decent deal here. Let me get this stuff. In a gym, they had to get someone to unlock it with a key to actually access it. But
wow.
Very US.
But not the alcohol, just the deodorant.
I mean, the alcohol, yeah. The deodorant's the real heavy material.
That alcohol content in the deodorant.
But the other guys wanted to hit like some card stores and stuff, so we hit up some card stores, and then we were like, oh, where do we go? And we were like, well, we could go to the Santa Monica Pier. And so like we were sort of Googling like where the Santa Monica Pier was, and I was like, oh, it's reasonable-ish. We could end up over there. So we just hit up the Santa Monica Pier, and like, we did some Kyogre raids, because the like, to be honest with you, I think the spawns were like, it's not like they were bad, but it wasn't like, I feel like it had been overhyped a little bit. Yeah. The one real benefit of the Santa Monica Pier was that like you could join a raid and it would fill up. Like very Sydney pilled, I think. But where I assume there's a lot of spoofing action going on.
Because of maybe how hyped it is. Just like, just like, let me put my GPS coordinates to like Santa Monica Pier.
I think exactly right. I mean, Sydney has tons of advantage.
Not as much.
Yeah. I assume that's the case, but I mean, I don't know. Maybe there were a lot of people there. Maybe they were all playing Go. But there was a nice beach that,
Did you go during an event?
No.
Oh, GMAX. Yeah, no.
GMAX wasn't going on either.
Wasn't it? Oh, it was
this
Monday.
was Monday.
Yeah. No. Yeah, max out Monday.
No, this was just like, like 3 p.m., 4 p.m., 5 p.m. on a Monday.
That's all. Yeah, that's nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it wasn't going on. But yeah, we still had a good time. Then we ended up going back to the airport. They were actually on the same flight as Kellosaurus. But anyway,
did you see
get
Kello at
home.
all?
What's that?
Did you see Kello at all?
No, not at all.
Okay.
We were in like different terminals completely, different airlines and stuff. We separated. I tried to go through them with the security, and they were like, "What are you doing going through here?" And I was like, "Oh, like they're all connected, right?" And the answer to that question is yes. By the way, it's like it's kilometers and kilometers and kilometers, but they are connected.
Yeah.
And she was just like, "No," and I was like, "Look, I know that I know the answer. I know that I looked at the map beforehand. I know that I can get to where I need to be, but all right, whatever. I'll be sensible and like get the shuttle and whatever." And like,
I'm quite familiar with LAX, and it is fine, but whatever.
And like I had so many hours before my flight anyway. It was like I was in no rush. So it's like I can walk, I'm fine. But anyway, but that was, basically the end of the journey, except for the tiny little piece where Sydney Airport was it was my worst Sydney Airport experience of all time, where like 14 flights landed at once, and the line to get through security did not have the capacity for that many people. And so it was just like a swarm, like a horde of humans trying to squeeze their way into the too thin line to get through. And then every single line was like that throughout. It was just like, it was bad. It was very, very bad. And everyone was, not good. And if I'm being completely honest with you, I think very negatively impacted by the amount of Americans that were coming through that were a little more, look, vocal. If I had to describe Americans in one way after spending so much time around so many of them, and I don't mean the Pokemon folk, I mean general public, your average American, selfish. So to say that they could not care less about order or fairness, or like, it was just like, well, the more I push through this line, the sooner I will get through this line, and that is what matters the most. There was a lot of that sort of attitude flying around, and it felt very American coded. But
yeah, it explains a lot.
Yeah, I saw a lot in New Orleans that you do not see around here, or New Zealand, or South Africa, or Gdansk, or Argentina, or anywhere else. It is very, very American. I do wonder how like blind to it like reasonable Americans are. Like I wonder how much they realize that it is America coded. I don't know.
I don't think they know. I think that's all they know. Like, what's that percentage of how many Americans have ever been outside of America? Like, it's very small.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So therefore, I mean, the ones that I think have been a little bit like, explored the world a little bit more worldly. However, that doesn't mean that they can't still be inherently selfish. But we're very, very lucky in the Pokemon Go community that there's not a lot of that kind of behavior.
No.
Except for the socials, and someone needs to step it up and actually make a social scene.
That everyone is welcome to come to. Please.
Exactly right. We're not excluding anyone.
Oh, but that was NAIC, I guess.
And then you made a home, and then you go into work.
Straight from like through the monstrosity that was the airport lines, straight to the train, straight to work. Not even a stop home. I brought a change of clothes. Like I had deodorant. It was straight in.
Yeah.
Get to it.
And that's Steve went to New Orleans / NAIC episode. I know we were going to talk about like PJCS and like even YouTube comments and other things. But again, thank you to Anne Emma for helping and sponsoring the podcast. But I think we should just wrap it up here. We hit the 3-hour mark. I think this may be the longest podcast that we've ever had. And we didn't even have your Kovacic on.
That's true. Now, remember what I said like at the start of this podcast with respect to we don't have a lot to talk about, but we have a lot to talk about. Well, I think I've been proven right.
Not a liar. Fine. 3 hours later, you can prove that you're not a liar.
Thank you. But Debbie's probably right. Look, we might, I guess we won't have a lot to talk about in like the next episode, I suppose. And so I think it's probably reasonable that it becomes the PJCS plus catch up episode, I think.
Yeah. We can talk about the final fallout of the season, where everyone stands. By that point, we'll get an idea of travel awards, hopefully. Can go through the YouTube comments. So if you haven't already left a comment, feel free to write one, because we'll definitely get onto it for the next podcast. Sorry for those that have written. We will get to it. It's just that 3 hours in, it is a bit of a long stint, especially if you're driving at the moment. And drive safely if you are listening while you're driving.
True. I mean, look, this was said in the Discord, right? About the extra travel stories means that we get an extra little bit of longer time. It's just extra podcast content, and this is the result. This is what happens when Steve tries to travel. I guess.
Yeah. Unless in the next 2 weeks he travels again, we'll be on time for the next one.
Surely the next one won't be Steve went to blank blank blank, right?
Steve went to Sydney for Go Fest. Steve goes to, I don't know, like start a new season. He might be going to Frankfurt for all I know.
You will not see me in Frankfurt.
Look, at this point, I think anything is believable.
Yeah.
It's got to this point now. I'm just like, okay, yeah. But with a slight sliver of like percentage of like, might still happen. It's not zero. It's not zero.
Yeah, no, you are correct. Like, I did have no intention of going to Johannesburg. I did have no intention of going to Durban or NAIC. I mean,
or Auckland. Yeah.
Well, I don't think anyone even thought that was on the table, quite frankly.
Yeah. But hey, double cup weekend. We just take it.
We take it, and a travel award was gained from that.
Yeah.
So
number 1.
Basically paid for my New Zealand travel.
Look, I'm glad something paid for you. 2 special events. It's like, ugh.
Yeah.
New Zealand will get their money back. That's what's happening in January.
Oh man.
Not the special event.
Yeah. I mean, hey, at least I got that really bad photo with Zuilis's trophy, right?
Right? Yeah. If that was like the key point of your whole trip across, then sure. At least you got some beignets.
Yay. Okay. Well, I guess that's the episode. Much to talk about next time. And any final words?
Follow us on... Yeah, no, I think that's pretty much it. Follow us on the socials on Twitter/X @G'dayBadlers. Please drop it. If you haven't already, drop a subscribe. Grab your grandma's account and drop a subscribe. We are currently like past the halfway mark. We want to try and get to at least 100. That would be greatly appreciated, so we can like lock in I think it's a URL or something like that. So that would be nice. Any YouTube accounts, just lock it in. On there, and on Spotify, if you can, any of the rating systems, we appreciate a 5-star there. And any complaints, just DM Steve. Yep. That's pretty much.
I'll ignore them, but feel free.
And that's pretty much it for the episode for today. We'll be back in a couple of weeks' time, and enjoy the recap of Steve's NAIC experience. And of course, there was a mishap at the airport. What would be an adventure of Steve's without one? But we'll see you guys on the next one.
Yeah, we had to hit the quota. Also, I have just seen apologies to the people that left YouTube comments over 3 weeks ago that we have not gotten to. Look, maybe the next episode comes out sooner rather than later.
Let's plan that in.
Yeah. So we'll get there soon, promise. Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.
Yeah. Alrighty. 3, 2, 1. G'day, battlers. Whoa.
I just knocked the water bottle.
Oh. What did you do?
I knocked the water bottle with my watch because I was going to wave.
Oh. Because I stopped because like the microphone like really peaked on my end, and I was like, oh, heck. I didn't know if it peaked on your end as well.
No, it was just the usual height, and just knocked it because usually I don't have my water bottle here.
Well, good start or a good end.
Nice. Hi, bloopers, peoples.
Hi, bloopers, peoples. Take 2.